Hello, people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am a Martin. I'm.
Do you want to stop the stream? Try again.
No, but there's so many things throwing me off this morning. So I am American.
I'm Martin.
And yeah, we're coming to you from the underground echo chamber.
Yes, Yeah.
But I think this week we've got the problems sorted from the way they were last time. We just need to make sure we talk directly into our microphones. We did, in fact, find the problem, and it was that Martin's microphone volume was turned way the hell down.
Something was wrong, but I still don't feel it's right.
Well,
what do you guys think?
It's better than it was.
It's much better than it was, but it's still off.
So we have a ton of stuff to get through today. There's a bunch of artwork that's come in, and we also have samples, physical samples of the Kaos Coin box. We also have Out of the Woods. Printed prototype. A printed prototype for your pleasure and play. And we actually installed another camera that looks down onto the physical goods kind of area here, so we can get hands-on with these products and show you all the physical goodness that we've made.
Oh yeah, some people loving my shirt.
That's a good shirt.
Peace among worlds.
Not peas among worlds.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace among worlds.
Rick never really struck me as someone who was interested in peace among worlds.
But that was the joke. He told them it was the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So it was sort of like an insult because it's like that.
Oh, that's right. I remember that episode now. That is correct. That was good. I like that one. Well, anyway, so we also are going to be giving away prizes today. And for those of you who tune in on my Facebook and Instagram and wherever else we send stuff out, you'll know that what we're giving away today is Greg's junk.
Yes. We're just going to give one of Greg's junks away, or
we've got a lot of Greg's junk. In fact, I've even put Greg's junk up for sale. So if you don't win it, you can in fact go and buy it. There's plenty of Greg's junk to go around. It's a decent sized junk, so
it's all right. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So why don't we get into?
Shall we start?
Yeah, let's get into art review. So first up, our good friend Alex Crowley sent along this, which is the tarot card back for the cards. Now, those of you who've seen before, Joey's working on a series of images that are tarot cards, the face cards, the various houses. So we've seen the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit and other characters represented as the faces, and this would be his first stab at the back.
It's looking good. I can definitely envision that on bigger style tarot cards would look excellent.
Well, you and I have talked now for over a year, when we go back to like when we first started looking at doing Out of the Woods, about doing tarot cards, and also we've thought about doing tarot cards based on fairy tales and specifically on Alice. And we actually spent quite a bit of time to kind of look at the tarot card market on Kickstarter, and there's some really nice stuff out there.
There really is. There's a lot of quality going on.
So I think we really want to do this, but at that time, one of our questions was, did we have the kind of experience and the track record that people in the tarot card collecting world would expect if we just showed up on the scene and said, hey, here's a bunch of tarot cards based on fairy tales? So we opted for a card game instead, because it would be a little more of a sensible transition to go from one type of game to another. But yeah, I think tarot cards, a lot of people have expressed a lot of interest in this design. Of course, we like it. Contains our chaos symbol, and it's also got our sun and moon and a lot of our alchemy. This appears to be Alice's ice wand. I'm guessing
looks like a broom.
The tarot broom.
Somebody in the chat, it may have scrolled past, can't see it, did ask if that's a broom. Looks like one.
Well, we have different houses, right? There's swords. Is it a pentacle? No, this is pentagrams, cups, and I'd have to go look it up. See, now, at some point in the future, when we've done a successful, or we're trying to be successful with our Kickstarter, someone's going to pull up this video and be like, look, heretics, they know nothing about the tarot. So.
We'll have to ask Alex.
But Alex also said he wasn't entirely happy with this kind of first pass, and so he wants to do another version. But I said to him, there are other things. Move along, and we'll come back to this later.
Okay.
But I did turn it on its side, and I know that we have Jennifer working on new embroidered patches, and so I took one of her patch ideas and I stuck it in the middle, and I think that turned out quite fun.
Yeah, it looks all right, that.
I have this as my desktop background wallpaper image now, and when we did our Patreon post, I put it up on Patreon yesterday for everyone to download, so we can all have the same satanic background.
Satanic rabbits, why not?
Why not?
Lots of people claim that's the ice wand, so there you go.
I think it's supposed to be the ice wand, but yeah, we'll see. We can maybe Alex will show up and kind of explain.
Maybe.
Now, what's this, Martin?
This appears to be some fan art from Asteria Visual, who is... are they in the chat?
They are.
Yeah, I think I saw them. Yeah, Cheshire as Crouton, reminding everyone to always save boy. Well, save boy and save boy.
You could do both. It could be read either way. Multiple levels of interpretation here.
But yeah, looking good.
It's good. I like it. And he said, or she, I don't actually know.
Don't misginger someone.
Sorry. Ginger Kind said that that could be our new pronoun for unknowns. It's just Jin. So Jin said this could be a t-shirt that we could all wear. So I guess we need to go back and get permission to turn this into a t-shirt, and then we can put that up on Mysterious, and everyone can buy it and wear it.
Still think maybe the God of War people might be upset about that. I don't know.
So this goes into the question of fair use. I think that when you do a smash up, a mash up, or any sort of, this is maybe in the realm of comedy, but you know, this is one of those things we've talked about before. Legally, technically, you may be able to do this, but the question is, do you want Sony suing you, even if they are legally wrong, but they still have more money and can basically evaporate you?
Exactly.
Disintegrate you.
Ninja Friday super chats. Thank you very much. More wallpapers curated by you guys. Yeah, maybe you could do more wallpapers.
We could do that.
And yep, claiming it's definitely an ice wand on the back.
There you go.
There you go. What do I know? Thinking it's a broom.
Yeah. But I did want to mention one thing, Asteria Visual, because I know you're in the chat there. This is pretty extreme, and I know a lot of people on DeviantArt have a lot of problems with people kind of stealing their art, and so you wanna brand it up a bit. But I mean, Jesus, it's just like right there.
Oh jeez,
Rick. Anyway, that's a cool piece of art. We do like it, and yeah, maybe we'll do some shirts. Maybe on the back it can say, like, instead of kick me, it can say sue me. All right.
Tempting fate.
These are runes, I guess, or glyphs, or otherwise sort of symbols that Jennifer is working on at my request. This is again going to the next series of embroidered patches, and so I turned her on to the idea of hoboglyphs, which are these sort of chalk drawn or scribbled glyphs that hobos put out around the world in which they live to warn other hobos that there may be cops in the area or bitey dogs in the area or things like that.
Never heard of hoboglyphs.
Really? No.
Yeah, well, I have now. But
Well, this is a whole page of them.
Okay, that's quite a lot.
So this is a kind-hearted lady, which is represented by some sort of cat tube. I'm not really... and then this is a kind woman, which is the representation of woman seems to suggest that she's been eating a lot of donuts. But
why would you need to put a glyph up that says there are women nearby? I mean, surely you can tell that just they're walking down the street.
I think this is again the language of a group of people who are living in a very difficult kind of existence. They're obviously homeless. They're hobos, and so you'd want to mark out that, like, for instance, here's a doctor, here's a dog. I think another question would be, does it also include a glyph for man? And of course, here is a glyph for dishonest man.
Right.
Here's one for poor man. Is there one just in general for man? Probably. They've got other types of men here. Anyway, I think this all comes down to basic survival concept. Can you sleep here?
May sleep here.
You may. You can sleep in this bucket.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't want to, but it's good to know that I could.
Well, and this means there are brutal men. A dot within a square. Here's a man with a gun. I mean, you would want to know that.
I would.
Yeah. So, I think the language is a function of the necessities of their life.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
There's a theory that someone put forth once about the construction of factories, and they basically said that when you're building a product, the factory itself takes on a sort of shape as dictated by the construction of the product. And that same theory was then applied to language and the culture that is the output of a language, which is to say that culture can be informed by, limited by, or expanded by the nature of the language.
Makes sense.
So glyphs, especially in a context like this, make very clear the nature of the existence of the people who created them.
Okay.
And that takes us back to the nature of the glyphs that we're going to create for our game, because obviously what we're inspecting through the glyphs is the state of her psyche and the trauma that she's dealing with. And of course, it's the language that's going to guide us on our adventure.
Okay. A super chat scrolled past. Can you have a little look at that? There we go. Amanda Darko. Thank you very much. How do they submit fan art?
I'm going to leave that to you, Martin.
You could go to the Alice Asylum Facebook page and use the inbox there. Why not?
There you go. It comes to us in all ways, and sometimes it's like I get it via my personal Facebook page, which I would ask you not to do that. In fact, if you could avoid using my personal Facebook page for anything other than personal communication with me, I would appreciate it. But that happens.
What other stuff do you get that you don't like?
People writing and saying, hey, I ordered something from Mysterious and it didn't show up. And I'm like, okay. Especially when they don't bother to give you their name they used, nor their tracking number, nor the description of the item or the date on which they ordered it. And you think this all would have been a lot easier if you'd just done it through the official channels.
Yeah.
Anyway, it happens. It's all right.
It is.
But yeah, to answer your question, you can submit fan art through Martin's personal email. All right, so glyphs are happening. These are up over on Patreon. So if you want to get involved in the glyph conversation, that would be the place to do it. That is going to feed into a new set of patches, embroidered patches.
Yeah, they've been worked on.
This is another one that she sent along. This is just another work in progress, but we have, I think, as many of you know, the concept of a chaos symbol, and that's been rendered as a necklace and as a patch. And of course, we're doing the Kaos Coin. This would be the opposite. And the symbol that you see here is actually the symbol for the Philosopher's Stone, and it contains within it fire, water, earth, and of course she's put the infinity symbol here. But this is essentially the attainment of truth. It is the resolution of conflict. It is the achievement of transforming lead into gold. This is the goal.
Right.
And the phrase she's put here, this solve et coagula, again, for those of you who've seen the chaos shirt that I put up on Mysterious, this means in Latin that first you must dissolve and then recoagulate or put back together again. It's an alchemy concept, but of course when we apply alchemy concepts in the realm of psychology, then it would suggest that in a trauma, or if you're a lobster who's lost a battle, if you listen to Jordan Peterson, your brain must melt, or yourself must melt and then reform as a function of learning from and overcoming that trauma.
Okay. There's a few comments here saying it looks like a Pink Floyd patch.
It does.
And some people saying it's maybe they're not super up on it. It might be a bit busy.
Yeah, it's funny. As we've been looking at these patches, there's been a few times where I've seen people say the comment, "It looks busy."
Do you not like that descriptor?
It's funny. It's as a person who, has spent a lot of time art directing and doing creative direction, I oftentimes laugh at myself for saying the phrases such as "it's a bit dark," or "you could make it lighter," or "it's a bit busy." But the reality is, and I think if Jennifer's in the comments here,
she is. I've seen her.
She'll laugh and she'll know. And any graphic designers or illustrators in the world, website designers, they all know that the reality is we don't really know why we don't like something. It's not working. And then our brains try to work backwards to voicing a reason for why we don't like it. And when we can't come up with something very specific, we often blurt out things like, "It's a bit busy."
So it's the reason you don't like something might not actually be the reason you don't like it. You're just trying to make sense of your subconscious decision.
Well, this is the case of our perception of reality in general, is that we don't know why we do what we do or why we like the things that we like. And scientists have been able to prove this and show the kind of cognitive dissonance that comes out of our decisions we make, and then after the fact trying to explain those decisions. And they've done it through experiments on people who've had their, I can't remember, it's called the grand something, but it's essentially the connection between the two sides of your brain, the left and right. Those people have had that severed.
Yes.
Right. And so they end up still being functional and alive and making decisions, but the decisions they make, they're not able to explain. The left side of their brain does something and the right side makes up a lie to explain why the left side did what it did. And it turns out we're doing this all the time.
The brain is a weird old thing.
It is. But if you're like Jennifer or me and you've had experience with the trials and tribulations of art direction, website creation, logo creation, there is a website for this. It's very funny. It's called 27B/6, and this is an Australian website designer / graphic designer, and his entire website is full of stories, basically of nightmare clients, but he doesn't deal with them in a normal, rational, appropriate fashion.
Right.
He's the complete opposite of politically correct. So I would suggest that if you want a laugh, you should go to this website and read some of these entries, and they're absolutely hilarious, especially if you come out of the world of art and graphic direction. But actually, I think as a client, as somebody who might provide comments, this is useful to understand what you sound like to a graphic designer or an artist.
Okay.
There you go.
It's kind of like a little bit like Clients from Hell.
It is, but it's funnier.
Okay.
Because
I'll check it out.
Because this guy goes out of his way to wind people up.
Right.
I mean, like, really, they'll write and say, I'd like a logo. And so he'll say, well, you got to pay me. And they'll go, well, no, just do the logo. So he'll just draw like the dumbest little shape. Yeah, anyway, you got to go. I
will.
Yeah. Okay, so back to our patches. These are two of the concepts that she submitted for the White Rabbit. And of course, we all know that the White Rabbit is the one that leads us into our Wonderland adventure.
Yes, continue.
You have to follow the White Rabbit. And so in a sense, this is the rabbit is the first door that opens. It's the invitation to adventure. And some people wrote in the comments over on Patron asking, what is that? What do you think that is?
Appears to be a pocket watch.
It is. You got it on the first guess, Martin.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, so it is a pocket watch, but I think someone who commented on it over on Patreon, you'll get to that later, they mistook that for, I believe they thought it was a reticle, like an aiming device, like a gun. Well, you might think that if you see the silhouette of an animal and something that looks like a target drawn on the side of its head.
Yeah, I can see that.
Somebody in the chat there is saying it looks kind of like a target. But it is, in fact, the pocket watch, the White Rabbit's pocket watch, because he's late.
Yeah.
Now, I quite like these. I mean, just kind of from a general perspective, I think they turned out really nice. But one of the problems that I had with it is that it's very similar to, and just in terms of like color, kind of semi-presentation, is the hat, the head of the rabbit kind of in profile, very similar to this. Have you eaten this?
I have. I quite like it.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. It's covered in like an edible paper, isn't it?
Well, it's the butter candy. It's a milk candy, right?
Yeah. But when you take it out of the wrapper, it still looks like it's got paper wrapped around it.
But you can eat it.
Yeah.
It's a kind of edible soy paper. But the candy itself is actually made out of milk, and it's a Yunnan or Mongolian concept. If you go out to western or northwestern China, you'll find that they're putting a bunch of sugar into a very thick milk concoction, and then they're condensing it down into a candy. And so it's got a very milky, buttery, very, very sweet flavor to it.
It is nice.
But this in Chinese is the Da Bai Tu.
Da Bai Tu.
Do you know how to say rabbit in Chinese? Tu. This is this basically means big white rabbit.
Da Bai Tu.
Da Bai Tu.
Okay.
Very famous candy in China. If you show that to any Chinese person, they will know immediately what that is, and they'll have fond childhood memories of it.
As so they should.
But my issue is that as much as we might dress our rabbit up with alchemy symbols and satanic pentagrams, he still looks like the cute candy rabbit.
I don't think you can get away from that. I mean, they're both rabbits. I don't think no matter how many revisions you go through, it's still going to remind you of the White Rabbit candy.
Well, but it also doesn't help that we're using the white and red color scheme. That's gonna kind of mess it up a bit as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was actually variation 1, and she'd left on the hat. Now she has a much better vocabulary than I do, and she described it, I think, as a cravat.
A cravat? That goes around your neck.
I don't know, but that anyway. So yeah. So
Jennifer, you're in the chat. Did
cravat?
You mean hat when you said cravat?
Don't know.
I'll keep an eye out for that.
This is the most recent variation. And those of you who follow me on Instagram might have noticed that I like this so much that I actually changed this to be my Instagram profile picture.
I noticed.
I really like this guy. And I like him despite the fact that, and I think some people in the comments on Patreon even said, those flames are... And I think the technical art direction term he used was fucked. As if to say they've been used to death, which I agree with.
Right.
And I think also, the use of the triangle and the circle, I mean, it all feels a bit kind of blatant or obvious. But I kind of was asking her for something along those lines. And then she said, well, F you, here you go. And I love it.
If you kind of let your imagination run wild a bit, it looks like the rabbit has a body made of flame with crab claws sticking up in the air.
Maybe they're lobster claws.
Maybe.
So I really like this one. It's funny because I was looking at this last night when Yin, my girlfriend, came home and she said, I don't like that. I don't like his head. So she had some sort of problem with the silhouette of it. And then I was like, yeah, so she's a fashion designer, so she knows how this whole thing goes with feedback. And I said, well, what exactly don't you like about it? And she goes, it's too big. I was like, come on, you you have to give better direction than just like it's too big or it's too bright but apparently... Yeah. So are you saying that the flames look like crab claws?
Well, a lot of people in the chat now see it.
I see.
Do you not?
I mean, because I see multiple bits going on here, I could almost see them as like octopus tentacles, which is...
You and your tentacles.
Well, it is one of the bits of imagery, and then she actually doesn't have it here, but there is one of like the NSA badges actually has octopus tentacles.
I think I know the one you mean.
Hello, I'm Martican. What's wrong with my brain today? So anyway, yeah, there is one that shows the tentacles of the NSA encircling the world. And when I look at that, I could imagine that the tentacles of flame... And of course, if you've played either of the Alice games, you realize that there are fleshy tentacles. And of course, there's a whole fire theme. So, yeah.
You're right.
But all of these so far have caused quite a bit of kind of contention. There's not a mass of agreement on which one works, even though I really, really like this one. I even have a scheduled appointment today to have it tattooed on my ass, but not everybody likes it. Yeah, someone in the comments says the ears are too big. That is actually what Yin's comment was. She said the ears are too big. Right. Not just that it's too big, but that his ears are too big.
Rabbits have big ears. I've seen them.
Depends on the type of rabbit. Have you ever seen a dwarf, like a pygmy rabbit?
Maybe. Don't know.
I've got one in a cabinet over here somewhere. I'll go dig it out. So yeah, I guess we'll go round and round on this a few more times. But at the same time, we do need to get into additional of the patches and the kind of language that we're going to use for the glyphs in the game. So as usual, leave your comments down below. You can go over to Patreon and comment directly. We pay more attention. Do we pay more attention to the comments over there, Martin?
I pay attention to comments equally.
You're an equal opportunity attention giver.
I am.
Well, why don't we turn our attention to today's contest?
9.
It is a very special contest today. We are, in fact, going to be playing with...
straight in for that one.
Yeah, we're giving away 4 of those today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna go straight in. We're just gonna be playing with and showing you and giving away Greg's junk.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who've not tuned into our previous live streams, this may be very confusing. And in fact, to me, as the host of the live stream, it's a bit confusing. I don't know exactly how it became about Greg's junk in particular, but I do know that early on we had people asking us how to share fan art, and one of the things that would happen is that people would send links to art, and I think Greg must have sent a link or two.
or 3 or 12.
So the joke began that we didn't know what would happen if we clicked on that link, and that it might just be a picture of Greg's junk. And of course, because we were live streaming and we don't know who the hell Greg or anyone else out there is, we didn't know. I just always assumed that at one point, someday, we would click on one of those links and it would in fact be a picture of someone's junk.
Someone's junk. It never happened.
Now, when I brought all this up with Yen, because English is not her first language, and she was thoroughly confused because she'd never actually heard someone referring to something as junk other than like garbage. Like, that's the only context she's ever heard of junk in. Turns out there is yet another type of junk.
It's true.
Do you know what that is, Martin? Well, of course you do. It's sitting right here.
I know.
It's a type of boat.
A boat of some description.
It is. It is a gaff.
Chinese junk.
It is a gaff-rigged boat, and they are often pleasure boats. And of course, we do want to be clear that when it comes to Greg's junk, it is most definitely a pleasure boat. So we will be giving away
Greg's pleasurable junk.
These are really cute. I don't actually know. I was looking around the other day for something or other, and this popped up. And what it is it's a model. So you can actually build this, Greg. There's nothing on the back, but in the box there is a very nicely put together collection of bits and pieces of wood, and so it's a hand assembled model. So anyway, I've got my hands on Greg's junk, and if you win one of these, you can play with Greg's junk and build it to your heart's content. Exactly. All right.
Oh, look at that. People enjoying the look of that.
Yeah. Well. So
what a twist.
What a twist. Who knew? I bet they were all sitting out there thinking, well, how are they going to pay this off? I don't. All right. So I'm going to click the roll it over here on Nightbot.
Roll it.
Look at that. Greg, immediately your junk is in the hands of that one hot Asian chick. Pretty good way to have a morning there, Greg. Yeah, so during the course of today's stream, we are going to be giving away Greg's junk 4 times, but I think he's got enough junk to handle it.
He's got a lot of junk in his trunk.
He does. And so that one hot Asian chick, you are now the proud owner of Greg's junk, and if you could, email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com with your mailing address, email address, phone number. You might mention that you want Greg's junk. And
why not mention it?
And we will get Greg's junk mail. Do you think there are any kind of like customs or export issues with sending people's junk around?
Sure, it's fine.
It's probably all right.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's fine. All right.
Are you hot?
It's a little warm.
I'm going to take my headphones off. My ears are roasting.
You really can't take your headphones off, Martin.
Oh no, I've already done it.
All right. So let's get back into art review. Omri has sent along a new dress. And actually, we've not seen this until this morning.
Brand new for me.
It is a new bit of art. And as you can see here, he has marked it WIP. That means work in progress.
And it's still looking excellent.
Yeah, well, and he's sent along a picture of the actual Alice Liddell. You can see the haircut and the dress she's wearing, and obviously this is inspired by, and then he's done a rendition. Now, I really do feel like he's done something to her face of late that's sort of turned her into Padme.
Right.
What's her name? I can't remember. Anyway,
thingy face.
Yeah, but
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. Which is not a bad thing to turn someone into. I mean, if like a witch showed up tomorrow and said, you can be turned into anyone in the world, I might turn myself into Natalie Portman. But the thing is, I'm not sure that that's who our Alice is. I mean, obviously he's done this as a sort of a 13-year-old Alice, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm still liking the direction he's taking. She's looking a lot younger than some of the earlier artwork we had done. So her age is continuing to be right.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of honing in a little bit more on the age.
Yeah.
Now, and again, you'll have to remember, this is for the bargaining stage. And one of the things that I had said was that, if you remember, the bargaining dress previously was the green sort of suit.
Yes.
And it didn't feel very suitable, at least not for a girl of 13, and also not for someone in a stage that you could equate with groveling, begging.
Yeah.
When you arrive at the bargaining stage in the cycle of grief, it is a stage at which point you're willing to give up your personal growth and the lesson that could come out of the confrontation with chaos. That is to say, you're willing to give up, to in essence to lose or not transform or not move forward in exchange for things going back to the way you wish they were. You're basically living in the past or wishing for the past. And so bargaining in that sense is a kind of groveling. It's not healthy. It's not good. And obviously, if you get stuck at that stage, it's not healthy and it's not good. So we had said, reimagine the dress to be something that was less from a position of power and more, I think, humble would be the word.
Okay. Yeah, I think in the chat here, just looking at the comments, some people, I think most people like it, but some more comments about the hair. Not used to her with short hair. Maybe it doesn't quite look like their Alice.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of going to my point about the face, about her taking on this sort of Natalie Portman, like the hair, the face, a lot of the features. And of course, what he's done here intentionally is to mimic the original Alice in her hair.
Yes.
But I kind of take the point that the original Alice, not necessarily our Alice, doesn't necessarily live in our universe. So I think, yeah.
We have a super chat popped up. Blade Siskadal. Hello. Thank you for that. Wish he could give us a bunch of super chats, but he's a poor boy for now. And got the platinum trophy on the Japanese Alice. Well done. Platinum's hard to get.
Very well done.
I've only got like 3 or something.
On the Japanese Alice?
No, just games in general.
I see.
The platinum is like your 100%.
Right.
So yeah, they can be quite tricky to get. Especially if game developers put multiplayer trophies in their games. Don't do it.
Yeah, so I think with Alice, I think we made the trophies not so hard. I guess that would be a question for Blade. Was it difficult to get it? Because if I remember correctly, we didn't go out of our way to make the trophies incredibly difficult to achieve. But who knows?
Let us know. Let us know, Blade. Did you struggle?
Might have struggled. May not have struggled. But that is one of the new dresses that Omri sent along. And he has sent along, now this, I promise you, this is going to cause controversy. What do you think?
Maybe not controversy. I don't know. It's an odd one. It's a callback, as you can see in the little picture there at the top.
Maybe what I should say is it's going to cause commentary.
A large
amount
on the chat.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So this is what he calls the confidence/aggression dress. Now, this would definitely mark itself out as being incredibly different from the dress we were just looking at, the sort of soft and childish and everything's fine and happy and warm dress, to this. This is quite spiky and dangerous and aggressive.
It's very spiky.
Now, I think we're back to kind of a hair and head and all that stuff that's more fitting of her. He has taken the inspiration from this image, and this is one that was titled Royal Blue Night. And
I like that image.
I love that image. We actually have those as art prints.
Oh, look at the chat.
I told you.
Going mental.
And what's the general reaction there?
seems positive. I think I saw one that didn't like it. It might have scrolled past. Yes, looking pretty positive in this quick scrolling chat we've got now.
Well, again, we do have this as an art print. I don't know if it's still for sale because it was so massive. It was large.
That poster is immense.
Yeah, and we were having problems with Chinese postal service even wanting to let it leave the country. But the art itself, I think, is fantastic. I think it was hung up on a wall. It was in the old office.
It's in the old office.
It's one of my favorite of the images of her in sort of an alternative dress, and so he's gone and riffed on that. Now, I love that original image, and I like this. But my suspicion was, and I may be wrong, that a lot of people would say, that's also not Alice. That's not the kind of dress. But it appears by looking at the chat.
Not seen any of that. Looks very positive over here.
So this is the world of the Jabberwocky. If you go back to the spreadsheet that we've done that lists out the connections between the planets, the characters, the alchemical symbols, and the stage at which she might be in the journey, in her psychological journey. He's listed out some of those details here. So we're in the world of the Jabberwocky, or Jabberwock. There was some disagreement on exactly what the Jabberwock's called. But the element was iron, and so obviously this suit has a lot of metal on it. And then the symbol, again, the planetary alignment would have been Mars. And for her stage in the journey, this would have been trauma, which would have also been linked to the masculine. Of course, this goes back to Mars, the war god, and muscles. So
okay.
This is something that, if we go forward with this, makes sense as maybe this ends up being called the Vorpal dress, because the Vorpal blade is something she needs to acquire in order to fight the Jabberwock. And we have talked about the fake goal. Spoiler warning, if for those of you who don't know, but that early on in the game, she's going to be told that she needs to acquire sort of her inner compass. She needs to acquire the Vorpal blade, and that her ultimate goal in the game is to defeat the Jabberwock. But we will discover as she goes along that is a fake goal, that's not actually what she needs to do. So she could get herself all kitted up, acquire the blade, acquire the armor, acquire all the moves and the skills, and then go into battle with the Jabberwock, and it's like that's
you will have the actual sound effect in the game.
Well, there's that burp, 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 burp. that'll play, like, for sure. You just walk in and it's like burp, burp. So yeah, and at that point it'll just say the end, and then you have to start all over again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds great.
Sounds really fun. Yeah. 10 out of 10 on Metacritic.
Some comments came through. There's a little talk about the shoulders. Some people say that maybe they're a little too thin, a little too close together, and some people seem to maybe not like the big spikiness. It's some opposing comments coming in, but people are focused in on those shoulders.
Well, I think one of the advantages of that dress, though, is that if you had any gunk in your ears, you could just kind of do your head back and forth, and you could just poke it all right out of there. Exactly.
Who's this? Super chat from Onka Stilensi. Okay, thank you for that. Says it's very anime looking.
It is.
Which I guess it is. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Quite like anime.
Ashley Lunt sends $5 in the super chat. Thank you, Ashley, very much. I think that she and I follow each other on Instagram, and she, she's a big fan. So she's asking off topic, but wouldn't it stand to reason that Bumby would keep an eye on the lone survivor of his crime? So can he at least make a cameo? Well, this is easy enough to say yes to. The major question, though, is how much of the inside of the asylum are we going to see during Alice Asylum? Madness Returns, we bounced around quite a bit, but if you remember in American McGee's Alice, it was a fairly linear affair. So we still have not decided how much of that sort of visiting the past or seeing ongoing simultaneous events in the present might go into this adventure. But yeah, I mean, for sure he might be hanging around. Whether or not we display that in game, I don't know.
Okay. Lucas Severin super chats. Is it liking my mic voice? It's weird, but you like it. Can I say, I see a little silhouette of a man.
Scaramouche, Scaramouche.
Will you do the fandango?
Thunderbolt and lightnings.
And like I said, chat, take it away from here.
I used to do a lot of development visits to Japan, and they used to like to have karaoke battles. So we'd work all day, and then we'd go out and drink massive amounts of beer and whiskey, and then we'd go to karaoke. And the Japanese guys, even though they couldn't speak English, the karaoke for English songs was really popular, and they would read Japanese characters that were the way to pronunciate the song. And so they were pretty good. I mean, they had really good voices. They didn't necessarily know what they were saying. But anyway, if I ever at the end of the night wanted to just like put a knife in it and win, I would sing that. I would sing Bohemian Rhapsody, and their heads would explode.
I can imagine that being pretty funny.
Yeah.
People like phonetically singing stuff that they don't understand.
But then, especially if you get into something that is as off the road, I mean, it's just insane, that song. They couldn't quite wrap their heads around it.
Oh, what's that super chat that's just wangled past?
You know, Martin does have his own mouse now, but
I saw
just
you reaching for
refuses
yours
to touch it. It's very strange. He's touching Greg's junk all morning, but he won't touch his own mouse.
B-Bay Shorty. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Maybe try reimagining the bargain dress, but more tattered and greyed out. Hair regular but dishevelled and teased up from frustration, making it look short. I did see other people mentioning it should look tattier.
Yeah, so this has been my request with regards to dresses now multiple times. In fact, if you go and you look at the most recent email that I sent to Omri, and Omri, if you're listening, please listen to me, and also please listen to the person that just made the suggestion in the super chat, and try doing more sort of realistic, tattered, torn up dresses. What might she have been wearing on her way into the asylum, or what might she be wearing in the asylum? I think that we all want to see, like if you played Madness Returns, there was a whole section where she had her head shaved and she was wearing the asylum straitjacket, and people loved that. I loved that. I thought that was super cool. So I think that that might be something you want to work on next.
I know Omri watches these later.
He does.
So he'll see the comments.
Right. So Blade Siskadal is asking, what's Americans' favorite Chinese song? So there was it's not really Chinese, but there was a very funny song that came out years ago that was called Coco Coco Co. Do you know this one?
Sounds familiar.
The whole concept was that like the foreigner was trying to chat up the Chinese girl on his phone, but back in the day, if you didn't have the font installed for Chinese, it just showed up as the little boxes. But the little boxes in the Chinese characters actually represents the symbol for ko, for mouth. And so anyway, the song kind of went on that like I've been messaging this girl and I'm really wanting to get with her, but every time she writes back, she just says ko 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 ko. Anyway, you have to be there. It's not that funny. Okay,
it was the Coco Coco song.
It's a hilarious song. I think you can actually look it up. Coco Coco Co.
Who's this? No. I'm going to pronounce that. Should that be a V or a W? Slawek 382. Thank you for the super chat. You guys plan to add unlockable concept arts as rewards for collectibles. Such an old school things are atmospheric. Alice series is wonderful.
Oh, there you go.
Why not?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, in the game, I assume that's what the question is. Could you have unlockable concept art as a reward? Yeah.
Usually if you go back to like the main menu in some games, there's like a little section for like unlockables or secrets that gets filled out as you play.
So, when you're making a game, and also before you start work on a game, I mean, one of the things that happens is that you have this entire long list of all the things that you'd like to have in the game, and you end up with all these kind of ideas. Well, like, what if we had like a weapon designer, or what if we had like a dress designer in the game, or what if we had unlockable concept art? And what always ends up happening is, as you go through the production process, you start to run out of time. You run out of people. You have people who go over schedule and stuff. And then bit by bit, these things fall off the radar, because something like that, I mean, if you were to say, we have a choice between getting unlockable concept artwork done or putting extra particles and beautiful physics onto this weapon, you'd choose the weapon. So, a lot of times the things that seem the easiest, the simplest, those things are the ones that end up dying first, because they...
Oh, no.
Yeah, so...
There you go. Secret insight into the world of game development.
Yeah, it's tough. It's it's an issue, because, I mean, you do want to cram a bunch of things in there, but you'd be surprised the interdependencies, because you could imagine that somehow an unlockable bit of concept art would not require like the highest skilled people on the team to be involved, but you'd be wrong. At some point, the art director has to get involved, the UI creation guy has to get involved, the lead programmer girl has to get involved, and so there's a whole chain of people. Like on the Alice games, actually on a lot of our games in the past, one of the biggest bottlenecks was UI. That is the buttons that you press and the menus that appear on screen. UI creation, design, implementation, and connection up to the interface of the hardware and whatnot. Massive bottleneck, massive problems across almost every game we ever made in the 10 years at Spicy Horse. And you'd think that after the first couple times that it ends up being a bottleneck, you'd work your way around it. But it's one of these weird systems where, like, you can only have so many people working on it at one time. It's sort of the old phrase in the game development business that you can't have a baby in 1 month with 9 women. This is a phrase you hear very frequently when you're making games.
Good phrase. I like that one.
Well, because there is oftentimes this mistake made that, well, if we just throw more people at it, we'll get it done faster. And in fact, it does not work out like that. So this is, yeah. Yep.
Is lead programmer girl the official position title?
I threw that in there because the two I'd said prior to that was guy, and I didn't want to be politically incorrect.
I thought we were going to start to use Jin.
Oh, Jin.
Yeah.
Lead programmer Jin. It's funny how, you think about political correctness and then I get called politically incorrect for using the R word.
Some people saying a bit of buffering going on. Don't die, internet. Keep going.
Our internet is poop. It is. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say our internet is retarded.
You can't say that.
But it literally is retarded. That is the technical term for the slowness of our internet. And yesterday I got in all kinds of trouble for using the R word. And I just want to make it very clear that our internet is retarded. And that is why we have buffering.
We're going to talk about that later.
We might. If we run out of other interesting things to talk about. Now, this is the red dress. This is another image.
Very nice.
From Omri. Now, the shape of the face has changed quite a bit here. It's not... He's lost that Natalie Portman look, I feel.
For the better or for the worse?
I like this representation better. This feels closer to Alice somehow.
The more sort of elongated oval face.
Yeah, there's a name I want to say when it comes to this dress, but I'm not sure who the actress is. But if you go way back to Blade Runner, and I mentioned this on Patreon or somewhere the other day, there's the actress named Sean Young, and the face that he's rendered here, according to my eye, and of course you'd have to go back to a movie that is like literally 30 years old, we would recognize why I'm saying that.
Right.
Weird story. I went to Moscow once, and I was being shown around the town, and the people said, hey, we're going to go over and introduce you to Sean Young. Now, this was only like maybe 10 years ago, so this was 20 years after the movie had come out. And if you go look her up on Wikipedia, you'll see she's got quite an interesting mind and news story surrounding her. But yeah, they took us to this old building where there was a film shoot of some sort of B movie happening, and they walked me in and they said, this is American. And then they said, this is Sean. And so we shook hands and said hello, and I said I liked Blade Runner, and she said okay. And then anyway, so I can say that I've actually shook hands with Sean Young. So here's our dress. This is from the world of the Red Queen. And in our document describing the layout of the planets and the alignment of the stages of trauma and the alchemical symbols, we did list out that this was going to be related to Venus and the Red Queen. Now, he's written Chess Queen. He's also got here metal is copper. And, of course, this was in the alchemical alignment or the planetary alignment related to blood, veins, pleasure, and harmony. And I think this might have caused him the pleasure harmony thing. I think he wrote and said it caused him a little bit of confusion.
In what way?
In the way that he rendered the dress to be more, I don't know if it was intentional to make it look more mature and sort of more sexy, but that might have spilled over in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is the planet Venus, and so I think maybe that there is some reason for that there.
Quite like the copper bell of the dress.
It's beautiful.
Didn't notice that at first. Thought it was just some sort of like brownish material, but it does look like it would be like a solid copper dome.
It's quite nice.
Keeping the dress's shape, I guess. Yeah,
I think
quite
so.
like that. Alice on Elm Street just super chatted. Thank you very much.
On Elm Street.
Ballet doll theme, running on tiptoes.
Could do.
It's definitely a mannequin thing going on there.
But I get the comment that when you wear this dress, she would then ballet tiptoe run through whatever
Would be interesting
environment.
to see in game.
That would actually
dainty little.
Yeah, and to have the jump
Might look a bit creepy actually.
to have the jump be one where every time she jumps she pirouettes. That could be cool.
Yeah.
Alice in on Elm Street there, Jen comes up with a lot of good concepts, because Jen was the person that suggested, what was it the other week? Oh, it was about the turning on and off of the Chaos dress, I believe. Yeah, so
Sounds right.
way to go, Alice on Elm Street. You are on your way to becoming, I don't know, something. Jin. a programmer Jin.
You're on your way to becoming something.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
So this is, I just don't want to get Jin's hope up. I don't know. American McGee said I was on my way to becoming something. But yeah, one of the things that I think everyone quite likes about the design here, and I'm curious to get feedback from the cosplayers on this. Does this make life more difficult or interesting? I assume you could just do stockings with this drawn on there.
But if they really wanted to put like heart and soul into it, they would sort of like
cut their legs off and then have the actual joints surgically implanted.
Yeah. If they really wanted to knock it out of the park.
Do you think we could sell that on Mysterious? Like the home cut your legs off and make joints like a doll kit on Mysterious? We are in China.
We are.
Yeah, so
I think most people would go the patterned stocking route, I believe.
But I can imagine, again, going back to the comments from Alice on Elm Street, that if the animations for this were done up a little bit differently, you'd have people going and cosplaying this who then would take on that whole affectation, the style and manner of movement, and that they would quite like that they could get into a sort of different character.
Jennifer says doll joint leggings do exist in China.
Well, there you go.
Any. You do see lots of mad stockings and stuff while you're over here, but I don't think I've seen any of those.
I really wouldn't be surprised if they did exist. Because, I mean, literally anything you can imagine, you can buy on the internet in China. Look, I bought Lulu on the internet in China. I bought Greg's junk on the internet in China. In fact, many people don't know this. I bought Martin on the internet in China. It's just crazy.
On Taobao.
Absolutely mental. So we are about to do another contest. So if you could, please, in the chat, load it up with what would you buy on the internet in China if you could. And we'll give that a second to go.
Well, quickly, Taylor Goen super chats. They actually sell stockings like this. I have a pair from a broken porcelain doll look I did. Yep, they exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure people could cosplay it quite easily.
That's good to know. There you go.
So yes. Come on, where's the spam? How far back are we buffering?
I think we're about 30 seconds behind from what we see and what they see. So, yeah. We'll give that chat a couple seconds to fill up with spam, and then we will roll the dice to give away Greg's junk.
We're going to show off Greg's junk.
We will. Let me see here. There is the picture of Greg's junk on the camera there. Go for it, Martin. That's Greg's junk.
The SS Greg.
I think
the most pleasurable junk on Earth.
Yeah, I think for the people who win this, or if you actually did go over and pay $19.99 for it on Mysterious, you have to decide, do you want it signed? Should we autograph these? And do you want it to say SS Greg on it? Like, because I just wrote that on there because I thought it was funny. But anyway, I after I bought that, I was thinking about like actually opening this up and building it.
On the sails?
Yeah, they're made out of cloth. Like, look, it's like actual kind of sailcloth. It comes with a little bit of thread. Wow. And then all these pieces that have been laser cut. So anybody out there who is an actual like model builder will recognize this concept. Anyway, that's Greg's junk.
All right, let's roll it.
Are you ready to roll it? Let's see who is going to win. Who's going to take home Greg's junk?
Iselle Angelique.
Greg, I get the feeling your junk is primarily going to girls. Would you say that you're oriented in that fashion? At least Nightbot seems to think so.
Nightbot thinks that.
Yes. Well,
there you go, Iselle.
So Iselle, if you would like Greg's junk delivered to you in the mail, you will need to send in your name, email address, phone number, mailing address, and I don't know. You could
tell
say
us that you won
Greg's junk, and we will get that mailed out to you via express mail. And yeah, you can do with Greg's junk as you see fit.
Yeah, say something so we know you've won. Ooh, what's this? Chaussette. Hello, super chats. If you, I could. Ooh, there we go. The ballerina dress would be really cool to cosplay, especially regarding the doll leggy part. Maybe Alice could also have a nutcracker kind of mouth.
There you go.
What's the nutcracker mouth? Is it sort of like the lines and sort of?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes. I mean, it depends.
Is that the official term? Nutcracker mouth.
I wouldn't want to Google that live on a live stream, but depends whether or not you've got safe search on, I guess. But yes, if you ever see a nutcracker doll, you will see that it has a hinged mouth in which you insert nuts and then you crack them. I mean, that is the entire point of those dolls, is to crack nuts. All right. So this was a piece of artwork that was uploaded to Patreon the other day, just describing the concept of the rabbit, because of course we're doing the patch based on the white rabbit, and this is an interesting sort of mathematical visual, I don't know how you want to describe that, but it's the concept of contour rivalry, and that is that depending on which angle you look at the rabbits, the ears appear, like in this case, to be these ears are attached to this rabbit, but if you rotate around, suddenly they're attached to this rabbit. The ears cannot be sort of attached to two rabbits at the same time, is the idea. And there's a lot of different images like this in existence. But as far as rabbits go, it then kind of brought us also to the meaning of rabbits and the historical meaning of rabbits as tricksters, again, linking them up with the concept of introduction to chaos. And so we will find some way to put all of that together into the final patch and into the meaning that we have in the game. And I think one of the questions that was on Patreon was, will we see the White Rabbit play more of like a character role in Asylum? And I think my answer for that is definitive yes. I really want to incorporate the rabbit much more into her journey this time around.
Okay. Kendall, we did this last time. Australia. What did you say? You got it right.
I remember, but I'm not going to.
Hopes that you kept the receipt for Font Lord Martin.
Font Lord.
Doesn't matter. It's too long now. No returns after such a long time.
No.
You stuck with me.
But I could sell you. For sure, I could sell you. It is China after all. We could take you down to one of those marriage markets and sell you off.
They're mental.
Yeah, well,
they still do them?
Of course they still do them.
The big one at People's Square still happening?
Every Sunday, man. You got to go over there. You could get yourself sold off into marriage. Yeah, I've seen quite a few people, do web or TV, whatever kind of exploration of those markets, and sort of go in there with the signs and hold them up and try to sell themselves off.
It's an experience.
It is.
It's weird.
So we are going to, I think we finished up with art review. We are going to get into playing Alice, and we're also going to go through your Patreon questions and
we're going to show this off.
Comments.
Perhaps.
But I think, before we do that, we ought to do a couple of things. One is we should probably do a quick shout out to our sponsor.
Why not? Freaky Fandoms. Yep. Anyone who watches our live streams know we give these guys a big shout out each week. Like you say, they're our biggest sponsor. They've been with us for a long time, supporting our efforts. Yeah, it's a podcast with all your favorite cult hits. And the latest one, they are doing Madness Returns. Anything specific about Madness Returns? What's that text at the top say? Nothing. What did the email say? I didn't read the email from them this morning.
The email said, Martin is a twat. I think that's specifically what it said, yes.
Okay.
No, so this week, I can hear that. I'm sure everyone else can hear that. There we go. It says they're going to talk about Alice Madness Returns. According to their email, this is actually going to be a 3-part series where they talk about gameplay and story and boss fights. Here it says that it is part 1 of many.
Wow.
But as I've said many times in the past, Freaky Fandoms, Andrew and Deborah are our sponsors, and by supporting them, you can in turn support us. So a big thank you to them for all their love and support, and also a big thank you to all of you who help us do what we do by helping them do what they do.
So help them do what they do by listening to their podcast. Head on over, check it out.
Alrighty, there you
We're
go.
really good at this.
It's a good thing we only have one sponsor. Actually, that may be why we only have one sponsor.
Who's this? Eagle Chick 9 sends us a super chat. Let's try again. Be cool to have a bloody crown for Alice and the red dress, since the skull on the back is the Red Queen's. Bloody crown. I quite like a crown on some sort of fantasy whatever. It can be quite a good thing. Like Hellboy's flaming crown was pretty good.
Right.
Why not a bloody crown? That'd be pretty cool.
We could give that a try. I have to just stop for 1 second, and I don't want. I see this is the problem. I don't know how to even make the comment without being accused of beating up on Martin. But I would ask that if the people in the audience could maybe make some comment to Martin regarding his talking away from the microphone. You could give him some direction.
I'll put my headphones back on so I can hear it. Yeah, my ears have cooled down.
Yeah, so I don't get it. The reaction is just to sort of try to help, and then yet I get called out, and so anyway.
Because you're a big meanie.
Apparently, I am. So we did say we were going to spend a moment here to take a look at Out of the Woods, and then we're going to go into playing Alice. specifically, I'm going to go fall down a bunch of holes and stuff. But Out of the Woods, the card game, we have been doing the production at the factory of this. And it's been kind of slow. I'm not exactly sure everything that's slowed it down. But if you're interested in Out of the Woods, it has been called Emo Uno. And if you go over to Mysterious, you can check it out and you can reserve via email there. Or if you want to pre-order it and actually spend money on it, you can go to Out of the Woods at BackerKit and you can grab it there. Let's take a look. Where is the box, Martin?
You've made a mess.
I have.
Lots
well,
of
this is
people
sort of
in the chat said they could hear me fine, so stop being mean.
I see. It's yeah, no, I can hear you fine as well. It's just that the level of echo seems to be through the roof.
Fixing.
And so we're going to clean this up. That's what people don't know is it's usually very messy here around our desk. But we now have a camera where you can see all that stuff.
Ooh.
So there you go. There is Out of the Woods, the box. Ooh.
Yeah.
Very shiny.
It's amazing.
It's amazingly shiny.
What else to say other than look at it and say, ooh.
Now, this pad that we're looking at underneath here as well.
Focus.
Yeah, there we go. The pad is something you can also buy or pre-order via the... It's incredible. The camera on that thing has just got a mind of its own. Anyway,
Focus.
you can pre-order the pad as well. So this is like a massive, like 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters or something like that.
It's something like that, isn't it? I was just looking what that's coming. Is there a chance it won't release?
So if you open up the box, you will see that inside we do have an instructions panel, and we also have the cards themselves. Now, this is, for those of you who don't know, we launched this Kickstarter like almost a year ago, and it was very successful. It raised like nearly $300,000, and it's based on fairy tales. And it basically is Uno, but you play with these cards based on well-known fairy tale characters. Come on, focus, fucker. It doesn't want to focus. So this card actually even has Lulu on it. Can you see it? There she is. Come on, focus. This doesn't work. There it goes. So yeah, there's Lulu. She made it into the game for friends of ours who are fans of Lulu.
Yep. Let me just scroll that there. So we'll just do these super chats and then go back to that. Kendall adores me. Thank you very much. Oh no, but kind of sick today. They'll be back to make me feel awful about their name next time. So take care. I guess Kendall's going. So get well soon.
See you later, Kendall. Thank you for the super chat.
And Alice on Elm Street has an idea for the Chaos dress. What if it worked like Madness Returns shrinking? The world could change depending on the dress for secrets and different passages and such.
Could do. We have talked about having certain powers and skills and whatnot based on the dress, and also triggering things like shrinking, having powers based on the dress. So we'll take a look. We'll see if that makes sense. I think somebody had mentioned sort of like an order world versus a chaos world in the levels as you run through them, and I was trying to think about how you do that from a design and mechanic perspective, but it's a pretty tough one, so we'll have to think about it a bit.
There's a lot of ideas around.
There are a lot of ideas. Right.
I like this card.
That is Martin's favorite card, the Prince.
The creepy prince, and oh no, I'm choking. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that is Out of the Woods. If you're interested in that, you can go over to the Out of the Woods pre-order shop, which is in the description below, the link to that. And I think that brings us to the end of our little infomercial.
We have some other things, but we could do that later.
So I take it you're going to read Patreon comments, and I'm going to die repeatedly.
Possibly.
Awesome.
If you can... Is this unlocked?
Woo, that's super loud! My ears! Woo, that was a bit crazy.
Oh boy.
Let me go here, we'll fix it. Music, effects. Oh, okay, that's a little bit better. All right, we'll apply that and go back, and we can play.
All right.
There is Patreon for you.
Let's have a look. See if I can just see the stuff that is an actual question or something.
I feel like we've been stuck in this whole lava world for quite a long time.
What's all
Sad.
this wee business?
Well, me, but you're stuck with me though. So I think, yeah, this is you and me in this together, my friend.
Okay, then get out.
I'm trying. I am definitely trying. So how are we doing over there on Patreon questions? You know, we recently asked our patrons to please format questions as questions and then try to limit those questions to things that they couldn't look up on Google. So I'm curious to see how well they did.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick scroll through now, and some people have written the word question in big capital letters like we asked. So I'm going to skim a little bit and get to those.
Well, we're all waiting, Martin. Everyone's waiting for you to read the questions.
But reading's difficult.
You guys see what I have to deal with here, right? This is
Friday 893p got confused by the pocket watch crosshairs on the rabbit.
That's the comment I was referring to.
Yeah.
That someone had said, what exactly is that?
Yeah, people in the chat also will fix that.
There
But
you
here's
go.
an actual question from Friday. Oh, it's the same thing. You wrote 2 comments. What is the crosshairs image on the rabbit patches? Yeah, we talked about that.
Okay.
Sure set. Looking forwards to Greg's junk. Maureen R. Question. Are there plans for the White Rabbit to have a larger role than he held in previous games? Which you touched on a little earlier.
I did just mention that, and the answer is yes. So I think that the way we want to handle this is that the White Rabbit is in essence going to be the equivalent to Boy in the most recent of the I'm trying to find a weapon to throw at this person here. In the most recent God of War. So Boy, I think we've mentioned one of the things, and I think I've talked to Martin about this, but I don't know we've talked about it on the live streams. One of the things that I really liked about Boy's presence in God of War was the natural effect of pulling you forward into the environment and engaging you with the story. So it really sort of made it difficult to spend too much time getting lost or going in the wrong direction, because he was always annoyingly running out in front of you and pointing out things in the environment. You know, this looks interesting. It's like, shut up, boy. So I think that that type of helper guide character is something that, in fact, the Alice games have missed to some degree. I also want to be careful that we don't take agency away from her in moving through the environment, but I don't think that it could hurt to have the rabbit. So the Cheshire Cat's really shit at this because he doesn't really care, right? He doesn't really want to help you. He's sort of there, but he's so snarky. I think having the rabbit be a more engaged and active and useful assistant / guide in the world could be quite interesting.
Okay. So yes. Who said that?
That was the Griffin, as far as I recall, and it said only the Jabberwock's eye staff can pry them open, and I'm not sure prying what open. But again, I feel like we've been here before. I don't know how we keep coming back to the same thing over and over again.
Fire the eye staff at the moving wall, says Anti-Lacy.
Yeah, well,
maybe they meant ice.
No, the eye staff.
Is it
this
an eye?
thing. It's like literally
right.
an eye, and it's a staff. And here we
Fire.
go. Kaboom! What? Nothing happened.
Try again.
You just have to sit here and wait. Okay, there we go.
Wow.
It's sort of like Ghostbusters, like that "don't cross the beams" thing.
What do we got here? Herman Harkstad. Question. Any chance we will get to experience more real life in Alice Asylum? Get to experience her insanity like the opening stages of Madness Returns?
Sorry, I was just just jibbing that poor card guard there. This is massive overkill. I don't know if you've noticed this. It's sort of like a super laser pointer, and I just used up all my mana blowing that guy up for no reason. Anyway, that was fun. We need more jibs and explosions and like unnecessary death in these games, as far as I'm concerned. Big fountains of blood, that would be good, but appropriate to the imagination of a 13-year-old. Of course, we want to be age-appropriate fountains of blood. That could actually be the subtitle: Alice Asylum, age-appropriate fountains of blood.
That'd be quite a good tagline.
So the question of whether or not we're going to see more of real life, I know this has come up in some of the chats before. This sort of goes to the question of whether or not we're going to see more of Bumby, and I think the answer is, so far, not a lot of plans for a lot of time spent exploring the Asylum or sort of seeing what life is like in the Asylum. My instinct, and I mean, again, you guys write about this in the comments and you talk about what you'd like to see, but my instinct is to try to keep it wonderful, keep it in Wonderland and keep it magical, and only go into the real world very seldomly. Is that a word? Seldomly?
Seldomly's a word.
Yeah, so only go into the real world seldomly. Okay. And so that's my answer for that.
Okay. I spotted a super chat from Blade Ziskadol, asking, how was your time away?
Yeah, it was good. I went to Thailand and I worked on my boat a bit, and I also spent some time with my friends Liz and Jamie, and I also looked at and researched some different options for the next Pirate Jam Game Jam on Sailboats event. So that was all time well spent. I was only there for a few days. I think in total I was gone from Shanghai like four days?
Like 4.5 days.
Yeah, 4.5 days. So I needed to make that one quick because we've got way too much stuff going on here right now, but it was fun. Though I did take a picture with my buddy Jamie in which he was making, he was gurning. He was making a bit of a silly face, and I put that onto Instagram and I said, never go full retard. And some people got upset at me.
Only a couple of people.
I'm just saying, some people got upset.
In general.
People got upset. They said the wording. I mean, it was that sort of like PC police wording. It was like, let's not use words that are naughty, shall we? I mean,
say that.
That's literally I mean, anyone who ends a sentence with "shall we."
It's a bit condescending.
It's extremely condescending. It's sort of like, oh, you poor child, you don't know that the R word is just not acceptable. I don't know if anybody out there watches this comedian named Owen Benjamin, but he actually has a whole skit on this because he talks about how someone sort of gave him grief when he referred to himself as retarded. And he then went and gave them the etymology, the origin of the word retard or retarded. And he also talked about, because then the person supposedly called him an imbecile. And so he gave that person the history of the word imbecile and then idiot. And so it turns out that there are a lot of things that you can say about someone in reference to their mental state or level of intelligence that are a lot worse than retarded, and yet people still get all bent out of shape about that word.
They do.
Strange.
I think we need to scroll back. While you were doing that, some super chats were coming in.
Martin, are you trying to say I'm being retarded? I'm slow.
Lucas, I will keep an eye out for the comment, even though you didn't write question. I am still skimming the comments, so I'll have a look. Fictional Ain, thank you for the super chats. Idea for a dress could be trying to keep all her burned possessions and use them as a weapon to throw, hoarding objects from her own life.
I like that.
A dress made of burnt objects.
I don't know that that's exactly the suggestion, perhaps. The dress is the objects, or that she's just hoarding objects in the dress. But either way, I do like the idea of burnt objects from her old life being tools and weapons and things that she's holding on to and trying to use, especially when we come at this from the concept of the dissolving in order to reform. So the reflexive holding on to things from the past, that's actually a sort of function of the bargaining stage. We could see that this collection of her old objects is anchoring her and making it impossible for her to move forward.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Alice on Elm Street. The White Rabbit's role as a guiding force would make sense since she is so much younger in the story.
Well, I think there's also a nice symmetry in having the White Rabbit as a guiding force, because when you start American McGee's Alice, if you recall, the first thing you see is that the White Rabbit turns over in Alice's arms and says, "Wake up, Alice." So I think having the White Rabbit, we will now have experienced the White Rabbit as a guide through Wonderland. And perhaps one of the last things we see is her clutching the rabbit in her arms in Asylum. And then if you were to go on and play American McGee's Alice, you'll see her waking up with the rabbit still in her arms. It could be symmetry.
Taylor Goen. I think that the Minotaur could be a minor enemy, a sort of an Easter egg for Bumby.
The Minotaur could be a minor enemy.
The Minotaur could be a minor enemy.
Or that, either way.
Did somebody mention that?
I think it's been brought up before, yes.
Is the Minotaur like a big thing in Alice?
So the Minotaur was used as a visual reference and a line in Madness Returns. The line specifically was, "There are no Minotaurs in Oxford or in London."
Yes.
And the Minotaur, of course, was seen in her memory as analogous to, or the representation of, Bumby. And so her mind had painted over reality with this picture. And it's could be an enemy. That's true. That's very true.
AJP says it's retarded that the PC police have come out.
Well, he's actually saying that it's retarded. So I'm thinking this is kind of a confectionery or a cake-like thing that you would take.
Retarded something.
You take a tart and then you put something in it and you make another tart, and so it would become retarded. I agree, though, AJP. It is retarded that people have to take umbrance or issue with a word. And what's funny is that no one was offended and had thought about this until those people showed up and said, "We're offended."
But even then, I think most other people sort of supported the view of, it's a quote from Tropic Thunder. It's really funny in context.
It's a hilarious film. And I think anyone who doesn't get, and this is actually something that I did with the game I made called Bad Day LA, which a lot of people didn't get it. They didn't get that it was a game by a white game developer who had done games that were sued for their level of violence and maybe their sort of inspirational connection to school shootings, making a game with what you could argue would be racist, violent, sexist overtones in a day of constant disasters, as would be sort of appropriate to the culture, the fear culture of the United States after 9/11. So there was a whole meta thing going on with Bad Day LA that if you didn't get, you would think, well, this is just absolutely retarded and offensive, and why would you ever do this? But there was a message in that madness, and the message had to do with fear culture and with PC culture and with the fact that America is this massive exporter of violence and guns and boobs and porn and muscles, and yet somehow we're all broken and it's all horrible. And anyway, when people come around, and that's the other thing, I don't understand how my fans, people who apparently have played my games, could have any desire to sit around and police other people's speech when these games that they're fans of would not exist were it for people like them policing the kind of content that gets released into the world. is completely illogical.
It is. And yeah, like the comment, they said like, I'm very disappointed.
I'm disappointed in you.
That somebody who makes a game is about a girl with
she actually said
issues.
that she has mental issues. The truth is that Alice does not have quote unquote mental issues. She's suffering from trauma, but that doesn't make her retarded.
But the fact that this person equated all mental issues with retardation is just as weird as having an issue with the word retardation.
But here's exactly the thing: you can't win. If you're gonna start playing this game, everyone loses, and this is the point I've made many times ago, over and over again, that you either have absolute free speech or you don't have any at all, because there literally is no middle ground. Once you start policing, then you are on a slippery slope that's going to lead to what I've described before as a very bad place. That is a culture in which it's not acceptable to say anything because anyone could be offended at any time.
It's either all right or none of it's all right.
This is very true. Now, I do want to say, speaking of politically incorrect things, it is once again time to play with and look at Greg's junk. Because it is contest time. So I would like those of you in the chat who are interested in participating in the contest to shout out your favorite politically incorrect word, but not the sort that, I mean, not the obvious stuff. I mean, like tart. It's not appropriate to call a person a tart. So, don't go for the obvious ones. Another one of mine is to call someone a window licker.
I have heard you say that.
I think that's hilarious. There's another one, which I don't know, a friend of mine used to say all the time, which was cone herder. That was actually in Bad Day LA.
I never heard that, and I don't know what that is.
Herder is a person who works.
Warden?
Yeah. It's a person who works on the freeway and whose job is to move the traffic cones around.
Makes sense.
We actually used that in Bad Day LA.
Okay.
So if you are not a cone herder, I don't even know. Anyway,
I guess we probably don't have any in the chat.
Fill the chat with your favorite there you go, bugaboo, right? Shirt lifter. What the hell is a shirt lifter?
I've heard that.
I love that. That's exactly my point. That is fantastic. I think shirt lifter is now my favorite new. Oh boy! All right, we're gonna take a look at. Well, I mean, this is our crowd. We're not explicitly offensive until you come round and start messing with our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression. I mean, come on. But I really like shirt lifter. That's gonna be my new. That's gonna be my new one. What is helicopter drop off?
What?
That's what Jennifer just said. Helicopter drop off. Anyway, somebody tree hugger. See, there's another good one. I think tree hugger is good. Sheep pusher. There's some wonderful derogatories, creative derogatories happening there.
Okay. Anyway, shall we roll it?
All right, we're gonna roll it before anybody says like one of the super banned words. So this is the giveaway of Greg's junk. It is a model of Greg's junk, and you can see here that it is a pleasure vessel, a pleasure boat. So what you do with Greg's junk or where you stick Greg's junk after you've built it it's really up to you.
It's up to you.
We don't judge. Wow, there you go, Greg. You're 3 for 4 in giving your junk away to what appear to be
VNCR Nicole R.
Well, VNCR Nicole R, you are now the proud owner of Greg's junk, and again, you can do with it as you please, but you will have to email us your name, email address, phone number, your street address, and you'll want to do that to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. And then we will put Greg's junk in a box and send it to you. As long as it doesn't get caught by Chinese customs.
Yeah.
So A13 Day has written to ask with a super chat, and thank you for the A $5. As an A person myself, I always appreciate A $5. question, says a 13 day. American, did you do a lot of research into psychology and the effects of trauma in preparation for the Alice games? The answer to that question is yes, a 13 day. I've read tons of books on childhood developmental psychology, on the psychology of trauma, on abuse of all types and kinds, and all the subjects kind of related to all of this as much as I can. And I have lived through my own traumas. So you can, one of those is working with Martin, by the way. It's an ongoing daily thing. You don't know. See, the truth is that when the cameras are turned off, he just beats me up, and you should see my legs.
It's all a facade.
It's a facade. It's a trick. He actually says, if you don't look like you're abusing me on camera, I will abuse you off camera. It's
12 times as bad.
Oh boy, it's all kinds of 13 shades of gray with Martin. All right, we're gonna go back into the game here.
Unlock that.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, please don't beat me with Greg's junk.
Where did we get to?
Right. Back to the game. Oops, I just moved the game. That's not good.
Yes, just some more comments about the rabbit patches here. Rich Eni. Oh, here's Lucas. Let's have a quick scan, see if I can see the message.
I'm doing this thing where I'm running in circles again, which I seem to do a lot.
Do it.
This is one of those places where the white rabbit could be very useful in that it could sort of help guide me through and to the place that I need to go, because I'm not doing very well here. I get lost
since
easily.
I'm looking down at the phone.
No, you please. I think everyone would really like you to read the questions. I mean, we've given them
a question there in Lucas's comment. Maybe he did another comment later on. I'll have a look.
Okay, well, a 13-day also sends along another super chat, and it says, the Chaos dress changes when she goes into battle. All right, well, I think that is meant to be a suggestion for what happens with the Chaos dress. But again, thank you for the $2. I now have $7.
You do have $7.
It's a lot of $8.
Lulu treats and margaritas.
This is true.
That's what it all goes towards.
Maybe it could be margarita flavored Lulu treats, but I might eat all those.
Think she'd eat that?
She's really into anything like wine, margaritas. Sometimes if I take Yen on the scooter to the subway station and I leave my coffee on the table, when I come back, she's drank all my coffee. So she's a bit of a yeah. She's special. But after that, she, like the rest of us, desperately needs to pee all the time and is nervous and messed up. But not right now. Right now, she's snuggling, snoring, sleeping, snoozing comfortably behind us here.
She's quite chilled out.
Well, we bought these new pillows, and we've placed them on the floors around the house, these kind of round Lulu pillows, and she just automatically goes to them. She knows.
She's wise.
Yeah, somebody's saying increase the game volume. All right.
Not a lot of people writing question, but I'm still scanning. There's people talking about the white rabbit patches.
You have to be don't be too crazy about the whole question thing. I ask that they use a question mark.
Like I'm also trying for that as well.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's really good when they have a big question in capital letters. It really stands out.
I understand. So is this I'm assuming, I'm not asking you, I'm asking don't worry, Martin. I'm assuming this is one of those levels that's got a bunch of funky respawn points. So it's like a kind of like self-made labyrinthal maze. And so I should stop running around it. Oh, here we go. I found something new. Thank God.
Somebody, I think you go out through the room where all the card guards were attacking.
Yeah, so I think what's happening though, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what's happening is the level's generating itself as I move through it. It's sort of respawning and pasting me into new areas, so it requires exploration. But I found a new place. Okay. I found a spiky tower.
Just saw in the chat, Ina said they wrote a question, but I'm looking at Ina's comment now and there is no question. So maybe there's another comment later.
It may also be that we've done 2 Patreon posts this week, and you may be looking at only one of them.
That's right.
Again, because I'm not allowed to do it, I would say that for those of you in the chat who would like to give Martin instruction on chat reading, you could do that. Just a thought. On comment reading.
Asteria visuals. One here about the Cheshire Boy image.
It's a good image.
It is a good image.
Blade Siskadal sends $1.99 pound, or I should say £1.99, and that's for Lulu. She is a good girl. That is very, very sweet of you, Blade. Thank you so much.
Lots of people just talking about the rabbit patches, but here we go. Here's Ice Killer. It says, question. Can we start a cult with the rabbit hole live stream place as our headquarters?
Yeah, well, I think somebody wrote and said it seems we've already started a cult. I mean, we have all the markers of it, so yeah, it's all right. Here is Truth Decay. Thank you very much. Sends along Canadian $10 for Lulu flavored margaritas.
Lulu flavored margaritas.
Here's the thing, you know that Lulu rolls in her own pee sometimes, so I don't really think you want to be drinking Lulu flavored margaritas, but I mean, to each his own. We don't judge. We really don't judge.
Right, reached the bottom of those comments. Just lots of rabbit comments. Not so many questions. But yes, let's go on to the next post.
Let's do that, Martin.
Let's do that, shall we?
You're being about as slow and unsuccessful with moving forward in that task as I am at getting out of this level. So I think it's appropriate that we're stuck. We're stuck in the maze together.
Tell you, not many people wrote questions in that current post. It was all rabbit patch comments.
Well, it might be a different post, you know. You'll see.
I'm going to that one now.
Yes. Alec Genry McLaughlin sends Canadian $5 and says, I just finished Quake on Nightmare. Did you play Quake after the development stage, and on what difficulty? Alec, I played Quake at all stages many times, and at all difficulties, and of course in multiple bazillion death matches. So I think at a period there, when we would have competitions and whatnot, I mean, myself and the other guys in the id office were, as you would imagine, quite good at Quake, and so I don't think we had any problem playing at whatever level and beating it handily. But thank you for the $5 and for the super chat. And then Herman Hackestad says, take my money.
20 knock.
Well, there you go. Thanks you for the 20 knock.
It looks like I might have missed something. Callum and Lucas are saying I've missed something. I don't think so. Well, maybe I'll get to it. Which post was it in? Anyway, I've got to the red dress post now. Let's see what I see.
Again, I think Martin and I, maybe we need to go off to a company retreat together, and I need to improve my game playing skills, and you can work on your comment reading skills.
There are so many comments. It's really hard to extract questions from it.
There's so many hedges in this maze, and it's really hard for me to get out of here.
In future, should be, unless it's formatted with the capital letters of the word question, it's not coming in.
So there's a $2 super chat from Mad Method, and that is a suggestion that American just follow the left wall. That's a good one. I'm going to try that strategy. We're going to see what happens. Thank you for that. Not only do I suck at my own game, but I'm being told how not to suck at my own game and being paid for it. I mean, this is the life. It's very strange.
Go through the portal.
I tried that before and it didn't let me. Is this the portal you want me to go through? Because it's,
I don't know, Viper says it.
I can climb on top of the portal. I can get stuck behind the portal and go. I did just go through the portal. I mean, it looks kind of like a bug. But yeah, I mean, is this you want me to go through this portal? I don't understand.
I don't really know what portal they're talking about.
Right.
Anyway, let's go. Lots of people loving the red dress here. Winona, Nerdiversal, they're all loving it. KM, loving it. Bit of...
So here is Lucas sending $2, and he's saying, I mean, you found it, but read it. So apparently you aren't reading his comment. There you go.
But
and Potent Eunuch sends $10 and says, I'm a reporter for Bronin.net, and I was wondering if you plan on featuring the hobby horse in Asylum. I loved the engine touch, or equine touch. Sorry, okay. I'm assuming Bronin.net is a Brony website, and that is cool. I'm glad that you liked the equine touch. And I don't know yet whether we're going to have the hobby horse. I'm going to die. If we're going to have the hobby horse in the new game or not. We are talking about having her use toys as weapons. And so... hold on a second. I died. I need to press F1. There we go. So the hobby horse would fall into the category of toys as weapons, and so it may make an appearance. And I wouldn't rule it out. All right. So I missed a couple of Martin. You just focus on the. You've got a job to do over there.
I've seen them, but I can't talk about them because.
Okay.
So many chats are coming in.
So here we go. Fictional Ain says, are you planning on bonus dresses like in Alice Madness Returns? Yes, we are going to have some bonus dresses. And I think people have mentioned that it would be okay if we did those as DLC. But of course, it won't be sort of like game-breaking or game-required DLC. Richard Meredith said, it would be cool if you marketed a chess set based on the game of characters. I agree with that 100%.
I've thought about that.
We have talked about this many times. I think that the question of chess sets, of playing cards, of tarot cards, of all these kinds of things has come up multiple times, and it is one of the reasons why we are so desperate to get our hands on the license from EA, and that includes the merchandising license, and put ourselves in a position where we can make lots and lots and lots of merchandise and physical cool stuff.
Yeah.
There you go.
VNCR Nicole, our winner. Don't send all your info to any kind of social account like Twitter. Send it to the mysterious email, which is... what is it?
mysterious@AmericanMcGee.com. If you do win any of the contests on the live streams here, you have two options. One is mysterious@AmericanMcGee.com. The other is that YouTube does offer some sort of like business contact button for a given channel like ours, and you can press that and send the message there, but I don't even know if we know how to access that inbox. So I would highly recommend, like Martin said, don't send it publicly, and do send it to mysterious@AmericanMcGee.com.
Yeah. So I'm looking at Lucas's message now, looking at what they might want us to read out. Possibly the bit about, is there a ranking system among the insane children in the cult of Lulu?
Yeah, so this question had me thinking a bit the other day, not just for ourselves, but I think for Patreon and Patron in general, patrons and Patreon in general. It is something that I think we could try to figure out, and the point is well taken. I mean, we have patrons right now who have a lifetime support level that might be into the hundreds of dollars. There may even be some that are above $1,000, and I do think that it would be good to put them in a position where they can acquire badges or other things that mark out who they are, in context of our community and what they've contributed. So we will, I think Martin and I are constantly trying to think about things like this and try to figure out how we can honor those people who are helping to support what we're doing. If you have ideas for that, please let us know. As you know, we're usually pretty open to your suggestions on these types of things. So just send a comment or send a message and let us know, is it badges? Is it labels? And of course, try to help us avoid, the mistake of making some people feel less than or left out. yeah, so I don't know. It's not easy designing a proper cult. I don't know if, we don't have a lot of experience with it.
Jesse Motor super chats $2. Thank you very much. They want to see Lulu. Where is she hiding?
She's sleeping.
Maybe we could pick her up at the end of the stream.
We could give that a try. Yes. Let's not do that right now. I'm fighting desperately for my life in this hedge maze. And
she's all snuggled up and sleeping.
She's very sleepy down there. I think we need to say the word treat, and she might wake up.
No. So yeah, back here, the red dress post. Just loving the dress. Some people mentioned the shoulders look a bit like puffy kidneys. Loving the dress, loving the dress.
Martin, Lucas is dressing you down in the chats. He says that there was more to the message and you've not actually read out the ranks as he suggested them.
Oh, jeez, Rick.
And I mean, I do just want to, throw it out there for those of you in the chat that you see what I have to deal with here.
We literally can't read every single comment out. Otherwise, this live stream would be like 5 hours long. Let's have a look. So here we go. Going back to Lucas's rank comments. The lowest to highest rank. Possibly insane. Certifiably insane. Our Asylum inmate. Our Asylum violent inmate. Our Asylum solitary sponge room confinement.
Solitary sponge room confinement. I like that one. I want to be in the sponge room.
The lobotomized patients. And finally, Lost in Wonderland.
Wow, that's quite good. Well, thank you, Lucas, for all of that and for all the super chats. And I apologize for Martin.
Wait. Oh, I hate this microphone.
I'm going to get told off by Liz and Jamie and others. Stop beating up on Martin. That's only because they're Brits, though, and they come to your defense. I'm sure all the Americans in the chat are like, come on, you limey. Or wait, they wouldn't have that accent. I did that all backwards.
Why would they be talking like that?
I don't know. It's really confusing. Now, I feel like I have something I can set here. Does that
Alice
work?
on Elm Street super chats.
I just set myself on fire. That was great. I can set myself on fire. Okay, Alice on Elm Street.
More
since
swimming,
$2.
like with the mock turtle. Swimming in video games. We've discussed this before.
Yes.
What did we say? It has to be done really well, otherwise it's just poop.
We've said that, yes.
But was it like Alice can breathe underwater by sniffing the mock turtle's farts?
That is exactly what happened in this game that we're playing right now.
It was, wasn't it?
And
yes.
I thought that was quite funny. This doesn't seem to be the way to open this door. I do seem to be able to set myself on fire quite well, though. Surprised that I've so effectively forgotten my own game.
I found a question in the red dress post from Sarah Heist. You're not gonna like it.
Why?
Has it been discussed to involve Charles Dodgson as a character in the game?
That's funny. This is clearly a person who's not watched any of our recent...
Sarah Heist. She's always here.
Really?
Or commenting.
That's
it's
interesting.
A recognizable name.
Well, we're just going to say very quickly, it has been discussed, and we would like to not discuss it anymore. And if we could just leave it at that, that would be awesome. There is a super chat from Greg of the Junk. And there's also Blade. Blade says, you got to bring the boy back. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. But thank you for the £1.99. Then Greg sends along an American $5. It has Abraham Lincoln on it, if I remember correctly. And it says, what are the chances the mighty seafaring pleasure vessel, the SS Greg, shows up in Asylum? Poor Alice would need a way to cross bodies of water. Well, Greg, I think at this point, it goes without saying that this Chinese junk is going that this junk is going to find its way into the game. I dare say there will be some Easter egg or something. At this point, we just don't have a choice. We have to have it show up.
It's just going to be a game full of Easter eggs.
Maybe that it's like Alice Asylum, the Easter egg.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm clearly overthinking this switch. There's sort of this idea that I can freeze it and make it be still.
Put the boy on the stand. Jeez, Rick.
Put the boy? No, the jack bomb. I've put the jack bomb on the stand.
Use the
multiple
clock
times.
to stop the time.
Use the clock. I
Use
don't
the
even know
dead
if I
time
have a
watch,
fucking clock.
idiots.
Where did I? What clock? Dead time clock. I don't look at all these things I have. An ice wand. I don't have a clock. Who has a clock? Where's the
people
clock?
are telling you to stop time.
I wish I could stop time. What would I do if I could stop time? I would find the insane child, bring him back. Okay, well, if you guys insist.
If you say so, Taylor.
I mean, at first it was just like follow the left wall, and I did that, and it got me somewhere.
And now you've got to do stuff.
And now apparently following the left wall was not enough, and I've got to go find a boy, the insane child, and I got to bring him back. And it's a bit much. It's like, I thought I just had to step on a thing and then a thing would happen.
Apparently not.
No, and I'm getting blown up a lot here. It's really ridiculous.
Some comments here about the tarot, but no questions, it seems, from Rachel Garza and Sandria Katz.
But thank you, Taylor, for the super chat and telling me to find the insane child and bring him back. Oh, so there you go. I'm trying. I am really, really trying. Now we are getting close to yet another contest time. I'm just curious, did we cover everything that needed to be covered in today's chat? You know what we didn't do is we didn't show off the Kaos Coin box and collectible thingy that showed up.
Well, the last stream we did was like 2.5 hours. So, I mean, there's no law that says we have to finish in 3 minutes, 36 seconds.
I suppose. I suppose. There is, food and work. We have a ton of work to do. 200 orders of that EA license proposal that we need to box up and send out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a serious amount of boxing and sending and signing.
It'll be a busy old day.
Well, except you want us to stay on the live stream all day where you're not reading the chats.
Didn't say all day. It's like a bit longer.
It does make sense though that we would stay on the live stream all day at the rate that you're reading the questions from Patreon. We could be here for like a week.
There are no questions.
All right. There you go.
In fact, I'll take this time to say if there are questions, and I did miss them, I do apologize. I'm trying to skim read quickly.
Very.
But yeah, in the future,
sweet.
please, if you're writing Patreon comments, write question in capital letters so it stands right out.
There you go.
That would be immensely helpful and would speed up this whole shenanigan.
All right. Well, I tell you what. As the guy behind the mouse driving the show, I am going to say we are going to do one more contest at the end, which will be in a couple minutes here. But prior to that, there's a card guard. Let's just kill him really quick. I think prior to that, we will take a quick look at the progress that was made by the factory on the Kaos Coin collector box. First, we have a super chat from Adam Zagul, and he says, "Stayed up until." Martin, do you have something you want to say?
Add him.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
You're done.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, so Adhem, thank you for the $5. He says, look, there's the insane child I think I was supposed to find. He doesn't seem to really care about getting blown up. It's unusual.
Like it.
It feels like I'm going to get, killed here, though. Don't think I'm going to survive this. Something tells me this is not going to end well. So Adam, what does he say there? Stays up until 4... And then what happened?
Updating myself on the new game. Had no idea it was happening. Really looking forwards to it.
There you go.
So yeah, there are still people out there that don't know. So spread the word. That
is why I wanted to get to the whole wrapping up and talking about the ways that you can help to spread the word. It is important. Part of what we're doing here. Go over to AmericanMcGee.com and there's a whole list of all the things that you can do to help spread the word.
There are a bunch of people in the chat typing question in capital letters. We did actually just mean for Patreon comments.
Are there?
Yeah.
Okay.
the idea to get your the best way to get your questions seen in chat is with a super chat. They really stand out.
This is true. You could either
like here from Taylor Goin, $5. Thank you very much. Gonna regret staying up so late tonight, but can't help it. Oh, got an interview for a big promotion tomorrow.
Would be funny if Taylor was the one who won the next round of Greg's junk.
Well, they say rub Greg's junk for luck for me. Okay.
Okay. Oh, boy. Wait a second. What's happened to my boy? I thought he was... Come here, fool. What are you doing?
I thought you were stopping the game and...
Well, I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying. All right, so why don't we save? And then we're going to go over to a couple things. First of all, we're going to take a quick look at this, not this.
Did that.
We're going to take a look at this. This box showed up from our manufacturing partner. This is the box in which the Kaos Coin will ship out to everyone who is eligible for that or purchase it over on Mysterious. And so inside, you will see it has... Well, it's all black, but black's cool. I like black. So inside of this box, there is a little velvet bag, and on the velvet bag, you will see there is also the Chaos symbol. And in the velvet bag, you will find there is a Chaos coin. Now, in our little display case setup, come on, focus. Focus. In the... Oh, fuck. Rick. All right, so anyway, that's what a Chaos coin looks like. Chaos on one side, Cheshire Cat on the front, and but you will see in the box here there's actually a second one because I already put it in the little holder, but the little holder frame is this sort of like clear plastic, and it comes with a stand so that you can stick this onto that. I'm trying to do this all with one hand. It's not working. Anyway, you just have to trust me. This thing goes in there. There we go. So you stick that on the stand, and then that allows you to put the whole thing on your desk, and then you can show off to your friends, like, look, I've got a Chaos coin. And of course, if you have a Chaos coin, it means that you can also have your name in Alice Asylum. We'll put a virtual coin in the game, and then when you run up to it, it'll say, like, Greg's junk. I mean, if you're Greg and you decide that's what you want on your coin. So there you go. So that is the Chaos coin. If you're interested in the Chaos coin, you could go over to AmericanMcGee.com and you will find a list of all the things you can do to help support Alice 3. Starts off with signing up for the mailing list, and you have friends that are interested in a new game. You ask them to sign up for the mailing list. Do not sign up your dead grandmother. We need actual names of actual people who are actual Alice fans. It's important. You can also follow me on social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I am on Instagram, and apparently I'm getting in trouble over there for saying the R word. But yeah, you can go find me on Instagram. And then you can go to Patreon. And if you become a patron, for as little as $1 per month, you can ask questions. And we will read them, or try anyway, on the live streams. And then when we hit 2,000 patrons, which is going to, I think, happen in the month of August.
I think if we hit the marketing hard this month, it can happen. I think.
Yeah, I mean, last I looked, we were hovering around like 1,800 patrons. And in general, we add sort of like 5 or 10 per day. On good days, and so we should be there pretty soon. And when we get there, everybody at the $35 level, you can bump up to that and above, will get a Chaos coin. And of course, we do have tiers for giving away art on a monthly or every 3-month basis. So if you want early access to all the art, design, story stuff that we're doing, if you want us to read your comments and take your questions more directly, all those things are possible via Patreon. Really important to point out that the reason that we're on Patreon is that all the artwork you see that we're doing, that stuff costs money. We don't get art for free. We're currently employing something like 5 different artists in all different locations around the world. And if you add up the amount of money that we need to spend on those artists, it adds up pretty quickly. we are using the money that comes in from Patreon to help fund the production of all the things that are going into pre-production. And as many of you know, that then went to a proposal, and that proposal went out to EA. That was actually mailed to them about a week ago, 10 days ago. And I know for a fact that this has arrived with them. This is the license proposal, and I know that their response to this was, this is incredible. They're very positive. They're very happy about what they've seen. And so basically what this did, this is people from Patreon like you helped us to fund all the production of all this artwork, which we then put together into a presentation, which we then sent to EA. And they are now reviewing. Now, I've said before, they are the ones who approached us and said, do you want to make another Alice game? The answer was yes, but then they said, well, we need to know the shape and size and the nature of the thing that you're trying to build. And that is why we're doing these public sort of crowd-funded and crowd-sourced design and pre-production process. So again, that brings us back to Patreon. That is why we're on Patreon, and that's what we do with the money that comes through Patreon. So again, if you're interested in helping to support the things that you see us doing here, that is the most direct and useful way for everyone involved. So highly recommend. And then last but not least, you can go over to mysterious.americamcgee.com, and we've got all kinds of Alice-inspired merchandise, t-shirts, jewelry. We even have funny stuff like you can get a pair of Lulu earrings. Come on, focus. Do it. It's not going to do it. Anyway.
Time.
That camera is just kind of...
G's camera.
It's retarded. That camera is literally... I'm going to go to the Logitech website and I'm going to write a review that's going to say, love the camera, but it's a bit retarded. You can also buy Greg's junk over on Mysterious. Real.
Imagine that.
But yeah, like there's things like this. This is like Lulu earrings. So, if you like Lulu and you want her as some earrings, then
I like Lulu.
And your purchase of things like Lulu earrings helps... again, to fund not only the production of art and design and story, but also it puts beer in Martin's belly and wine in mine. Ooh. I'm full of wine. That's why I whine so much. All right. We are going to do our last giveaway of the day. Is that right?
Why not? There's a couple more questions. I've seen Ina going mental in the chat, so we definitely need to get to that.
I'm having a difficult time understanding like the difficulty of reading the questions. I'm really confused. I'm very confused.
Firstly, I have to find a point to actually talk about the question, which means I've got to wait for what you said to finish. The super chats keep coming in thick and fast. Normal chats keep coming in thick and fast. And you still have to answer the questions that are in Patreon. There's a lot going on. It's not difficult. It's just a bit chaotic, you would say.
This is the other thing that we do with all the Patreon money is we that's why we have to drink so much, the alcohol. It's just chaotic. Life is chaotic. That's why the beer and wine is necessary.
So you need to scroll down to the red dress post.
All right, I'm scrolling. Should I click on the red dress post? Okay,
why not?
I'm clicking.
I'm going to take this off again. I've got hot ears.
Martin has hot ears. Ooh. So we're going to scroll through the red dress post. Here's a bunch of art that got done. Oh, I forgot to add this into the art review this week. This was Joey did up The Secret Garden was what she called this. Beautiful.
Good name.
It is. It's good name. Right. So here are the comments.
Oh my God, more questions. Load more.
I'm working on it. Oh, there's a ton of questions in there. Oh, man. Oh, geez, Rick.
So what did we get to? Scroll down. We did these. Got to go past the nonsense question. Keep going. There it is.
Okay.
I see
Ina.
it.
So Ina says, I spoke to a stereo visual, and we had similar ideas to a power-up mode like Hysteria, and I was curious about your thoughts on it. Here we go. In short, sometimes you can get so depressed that you tell yourself how you feel doesn't matter at all. When you convince yourself of this and repress how you feel, you can suddenly do things that you normally otherwise would not be able to do. For example, Alice is surrounded by enemies. She breaks down and cries. Time stops and slows down like when you enter hysteria. A dark Alice appears and ends up convincing Alice to ignore that she's scared and exhausted, and provokes an anger in Alice that makes her get up and fight with superhuman strength. Rawr. In the end, maybe this is the real enemy Alice has to fight. The physical manifestation of her guilt and insecurity in order to gain the strength and confidence she has in AMA and AMR. So what are your thoughts on this? I hope I explained it properly.
We have sort of mentioned a shadow Alice before, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
So it's definitely in there as maybes and stuff that's being thought about, defeating your inner self to gain the power, so to speak.
This is true. So I think, the question of how you represent a mode or an action in a game, it's important to remember that people want to be able to press a button and see a gunfire in a game, that we're not presenting a movie. It's not a passive experience. So we have to be careful that if there is a power-up or something like this that happens, there is space within the action for what you've described here, for instance. And the question becomes, would we as players accept the idea that a kind of hysteria mode or I'm very low on health and about to die, and when that happens, suddenly everything stops and then another Alice pops out and then she yells at us, or we yell at ourselves, and then something, and then something. I would just say that perhaps after the first, second, third, 10th time that happens, people might find it to be a bit much, that they might feel like, I've got to watch this again. I've got to see this again. And I think it's one of the reasons why power-ups generally tend to not stop the action. They just tend to kind of straight into it. That makes sense?
It does.
That being said, as Martin suggested, the central concept of Alice eventually facing her shadow self, or of us seeing throughout the game interactions with herself and beating herself up, that's totally possible. And I think that's going to be central to the narrative in the game. The question, I think, for us is whether or not we want that to interrupt the action of the game, whenever she gets low on health in a battle. It may not be that I'm reading your thought here on this correctly, but again, it's early days. This is the kind of thing that I think eventually what we want to do is put onto the wiki. I don't know how many people Martin has assigned to being wiki editors.
Still just the 2. Yep. I know. So Ice Killer here in the chat.
Yeah. So what I would say we ought to be working on is the wiki as a place to start collecting and having conversations around these ideas. I feel like I just want to put this out there to Ice Killer and anyone else who is going to be involved with this. Like right now, this could probably grow a lot faster. More of this type of content could go in there, and I think that the discussion that goes on around this could be increased. I think this is also one of the reasons why we want to look into putting up a Discord server, and then going back to one of the questions that was raised about the levels of the insane children. Via the Discord server, we can actually elevate people to different levels of status or badges or whatever you want to call them. So we ought to be looking at that as well. And again, on the wiki, that's another place where a badge or a level of status based on how long you've been in the asylum could grant you access to editing or other types of rights on the wiki. Something to think about.
Alice on Elm Street says the Dark Alice scene could happen just the once.
It could.
Again,
and so then
after all the other times, it's just a sort of an instant.
Yeah, of course.
Power up.
Yeah, the first time that it happens and it's more drawn out, and then every time past that, it's a kind of hand wave that we all get that what's happening, and then we understand the meaning of it because we've seen it once before. So yeah, Lulu. The real question though is, what does Lulu think about this idea? What do you think about this idea, Lulu?
Lulu?
Does the idea involve treats? What do you think about treats?
Lulu.
Treats or bath? Spanking? Yen laughed the other day because if you say the word sex, she's also very interested in that. Though now she's licking Martin's arm.
My arm doesn't need a clean.
If you say that sex, she'll try to hump your leg, even though she is a girl dog. I'm not quite sure I understand that. We do have another giant super chat coming in from Mad Method for $20. Thank you. Very sweet of you. Thank you very much. We will buy some nice Lulu treats with that. So what do you think about the Dark Alices being Rage and or Hysteria as occasional allies? Accepting their help would produce ill effects or higher difficulty later, since these are unhealthy ways to deal with the problems. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think we've seen that actually suggested a number of times now, that these could be sort of sometimes allies, sometimes enemies that Alice has to deal with as she travels through Asylum. And it could be that towards the end of Asylum, it's those two characters coming together into some sort of unholy dark union that form the basis of the boss that Alice has to defeat in order to move past Asylum. So this is something that, could be quite cool. Ice Killer 158 sends $5 and says, I'm here and I already made that Discord server that Martin is on. Martin, please get on from time to time and talk to us.
Been a bit lax with that. Sorry. There is a Discord server for wiki editors, but we did talk about having like the official American McGee Alice Asylum Discord server.
Yeah, Ice Killer, thank you for setting that up. I've not yet seen that, but I do know that as far as Patreon and the integration there goes, Martin and I will have to set up our own dedicated Discord server connected to the Patreon, and then that is something where we can actually link up your level of Patreon pledge, like the pledge level. It'll automatically then grant you specific rights on the Discord server as a function of your level. So we want to get that up and running. Christine Phillips says, will the Vorpal purse be restocked? The answer is unfortunately no, because that was a kind of one-off. We only made 200 of those items. We are, though, working on some new purses, wallets, and coin purses to stock up at Mysterious, and we will send those or update those, I hope, in the next month or so here.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do some lightning fast question answering and then wrap things up.
Do we still have more questions?
I can see there's a couple there from Christy Shelton.
All right, well, let's get to them.
Do you think it may be better to keep the rabbit black and white but put more detail into the hat? Or maybe change colours to the eyes?
Yeah, I think this is in reference to the artwork for the patches, the rabbit patches. And I do think perhaps doing black and white versions or variations on these would not be a bad idea. This is something that I think Jennifer's still doing some...
I think Jennifer's still in the chat.
There
be. She is, yes. So she's listening to suggestions.
Yeah, no, I would like to see black and white versions. I think also, from a design perspective, like we understand that we can do color embroidery patches. So we kind of feel like, well, why not use color? And so I get the kind of impulse to push the machine to embroider something a little bit more interesting and intricate. But black and white can be explored for sure.
Yeah. And do you think that the red dress would look neat if you took the form of the crown and put it on Alice, but had blood on it? Well, this is what was mentioned earlier, a blood crown. Or don't mess with it.
Yeah, I think this was brought up before about having a crown. That is something that it seems like, he's put a symbol of the queen chest symbol here on the dress. As far as actually having Alice wear a crown on her head here, I think it could be done. I think that might be something that we end up answering in the narrative, in the story. What is that called when dogs scoot around on their butts?
Butt scooting.
No, it's called motorboating.
Oh, that's not. That's
Yeah,
not what that is.
It is totally.
It isn't. I'll tell you what that is after the stream.
No, I also know, like, when you talk about, carpet munchers motorboating, but I'm telling you, there is such a thing as dogs and motorboating.
Is it? I don't know.
Am I wrong about that? It's when they scooch about with their butts on the ground. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I'm only saying this because Lulu is in the act of what I understand to be motorboating around the rug in front of us as we're live streaming. It's very distracting.
Alice on Elm Street, super chats.
It's not motorboating, says somebody.
And Dark Alice, what if how the final battle is relates to how often you relied on them in the game?
Say that again.
The final battle of the game,
Uh-huh.
if it was changed based on how often you used Alice's powers to help during the gameplay.
Yeah, but then you could kind of end up in a situation where you've spammed the hell out of them throughout the game, and then it just makes them completely impossible to beat at the end. And do you want to have a game where it can't be finished?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So I think when you come to talk about sort of conceptual or theoretical design decisions, of course, when we read of people, designers, for instance, who go out and make a game where there's sort of like one death, right? Like that's it. You got one life in the game and then you can't play the game anymore. I think those are fantastic concepts and conceptual ideas that we play around with as designers. But can you make a massive AAA game and then have the audience accept that they've paid X dollars, they've invested how many hours of gameplay into it, and then it's like, oh, I spammed that button too much, I can't get past the end.
Guess there would be a maximum difficulty that could be achieved.
Yeah.
No matter if you spammed it 100 times or 1,000,000 times, it wouldn't change.
Yeah, I suppose that's... yeah, it's sort of like it's on a scale of 1 to 100, but even at 100, it's still doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Oh, well.
More questions?
I like the concept. I do like the concept. I think it's just a question of making sure that we balance it correctly, obviously.
There's Destiny Jensen.
Will there be any fights as hard as the final Jabberwock battle in the first Alice? And I'm hoping not, she says. And this is, the difficulty question. I mean, for me, I don't actually like super difficult bosses and fights. I don't mind if there is a sort of a secret to unlocking the battle, and it's relatively, not that difficult to figure that out. And then once you've done it, it feels like you're kind of unlocking a puzzle and you defeat the boss. I mean, when it just comes to like a mountain of health points that need to be knocked down, I don't feel like that's really the way the Alice games have ever sort of wanted to present themselves. So I think we'll try to be careful about it just being hard. But as far as like a puzzle goes, maybe.
3 questions coming up from Greg.
All right.
Should we have a question limit?
So Greg says it relates to design consistency. In Alice Madness Returns, all the dresses had very similar silhouettes, same shape, and Asylum seems to be stepping away from that. So the reason that all the dresses had the same shape in Madness Returns actually has more to do with the fact that there is one set of animations, there's one skeleton, there's one base of a model upon which the dresses were built. And so in order to support a bunch of funky shaped dresses, we would have had to do a bunch more animations, skeletons, and other things to support that, and it's expensive. Now, I've not spent any real time talking to Omri about conservation of effort as a function of making dresses all fit within a particular range of animations or shapes. So like in the most recent dress that he's done, the red dress, for instance, people pointed out they're not a big fan of these arms, just from a design perspective, like artistic. But I'd say I'm not a big fan of these arms because when it comes to the rendering of these arms and the animation of these arms, the kind of internal conflict, like the self smashing into itself type of stuff that's going to happen on a dress like that, would make the creation and implementation of a dress like this in the game really difficult for your animators. And so you would avoid this on a technical basis as much as you would on the fact that maybe people don't like the shape or the design of it. So back to your question, I think at the end of the day, when we do get into the actual final designs of the dresses, we'll want to make them more similar, more consistent. And so, I'd have to go back to Omri and say, great, we like the general direction you went with this. Now reshape it to conform with the skeletal requirements of the model in the game.
There you go. Kind of feeds into question 2 a little bit about redesigns. Will Omri be redesigning Hysteria and Rage? You talk to him about this at all?
So redesigning Hysteria and Rage from the first 2 games. No, we've not talked about this at all. Because right now, I mean, one of the goals that we have is to produce a bunch of new art, and the new art is meant to drive interest and eyeballs and marketing and investment and all kinds of things. And if we have a piece of art for, say, a Hysteria dress or a Rage dress, I don't think that it's necessary to recreate that piece of art unless it's really adding something in a way that, you know, a potential investor or potential eyeball from a fan via a piece of concept art, it would bring value to what we're doing. And I'd say that right now that's fairly low down on the sort of value scale. So yeah, not just yet, but we may get there, especially if we go the direction we're talking about, where Rage and Hysteria end up being characters that she interacts with or fights against.
Ice Killer super chats saying Flock is a game where if you die, you can't play anymore. And also, if a certain number of players die, the game goes permanently offline. That seems like it might be open to abuse or something. Yeah. Or definitely if there's like a bug or a glitch and you die completely not by your fault, that seems like it'd be a really annoying thing to have to deal with.
Right.
If you could never play the game again.
Well, I really, I like that game designers go and do those kinds of experiments, though. And I think that the industry needs the space in which people can make games like that, and that there should be support from the fans and from the audience for the creation of things like that. You know, it's oftentimes very frustrating when you're working on a larger budget game that you have to be conservative. You have to try to not take too many risks because the level of risk financially involved is so high that when you go in and you say to somebody, look, we need to borrow $20 million US to make a game, they're going to say to you, we need a guarantee that you're going to make a return. That you're going to return at a minimum our investment, but also that, you know, ideally you return a 10x on our investment. And so, you know, the people who fund games generally want like 5, 6, 7x on their initial investment. And, you know, if you go and you do something that's never been done before, you have no way at all of suggesting that you know how to model the chance for success. Whereas if you stay the known path, you still don't really know, but you can kind of pretend like you do. So something to think about. We have a third question from Greg.
Yep. Essentially saying, is the classic dress the final obtained dress in the game? Something you're working towards? Is this a design decision that has been made?
So Greg says, as nearly every dress design has stepped away from the classic boots, is the intent to make the classic dress, the final obtained dress, a visual representation of her in-game progress and maturing? No, I don't think we've even had this thought yet. I mean, we're going to come into the game into a particular area that's going to be reflected by a particular dress, and then as we move through the game, we're going to encounter things and emotions that will change the shape and nature of the dress that she's wearing. But I think that the classic dress will still make an appearance from time to time. But I think it's a bit early. This is one of those things where the narrative, the story, will actually end up answering the question. But a lot of times we don't start, you know, we've just really have sort of kind of like a serious back and forth with RJ about the narrative, as you've seen if you're over watching what we're doing on Patreon. And the outline is where we are so far. It's a sort of general kind of gross details. And then this kind of stuff is going to come out more and more, the answers to this, as we put more detail into the story.
Okay. Ooh.
All right.
So what else we got here?
I'm trying to see if there's any other large question marks that have been put into this.
See any?
I've seen a lot of positive feedback and a lot of, I'm obsessed with this dress. That's good.
It's a good dress.
Someone cannot open the tarot card file.
Oh no, Christine.
I feel like this is not the place to tech support, help. So yeah, there is not a large question call out as far as I can see here. I hope we're not missing anything. Last comment there is from Ice Killer. Now, he does have a question mark in here, but he's not said question. But he says, as for the secret garden maze, is the area going to rotate around and adjust as Alice walks on different parts of it? Yeah, well, so I've always wanted to do, now what Ice Killer is referring to is if you scroll all the way back up to the top here, there is a picture that Joey submitted. It's this one. This is what she's referring to as the secret garden. And I think if we click on that, it gets bigger. No. But you'll see here, it's sort of Escher-esque. If you've ever seen any of the old MC Escher drawings of these levels, these worlds in which everything, the perspective is all messed up, and the stairways leading in loops back round to themselves. I've always wanted us to have really solid representations of this type of stuff in our games. And one of the things that's quite funny is that the art director on Madness Returns, as many of you know, is Ken Wong, who, after working on Madness Returns and after having, I don't know how much it had to do with him listening to me, but I would always go on and on about perspective and levels built like this. He went on from Madness Returns to build a game called Monument Valley. And of course, in Monument Valley, there is a lot of this happening, where depending on the direction in which the levels turn and the perspective of the camera, the supposed geometry sort of rearranges itself. And so you can see that in a game where you're able to control the perspective, you are able to force the reshaping of the geometry and then build gameplay around it. So I do hope that we can do some things like that in the new Alice game. Quite cool.
I had a 2,000-piece jigsaw of that famous Escher picture.
Wow.
Took me ages, but I did it.
Yeah. All right, so that I do think brings us to the end of all of our questions. If we did miss any questions, for those of you patrons out there, do let us know. I'm sure you will in the comments.
But yes, this is the new rule now. I think we're going to have to be strong and hard and fast with it. Patreon comments must have question written in capital letters for ease of plucking out of walls of text.
All right, well, I
you
hope,
have been warned,
yeah,
he said while pointing.
There you go. I do hope we can try to improve this process for everyone out there. So why don't we do one last giveaway? We do, of course,
some people have said there should be two, because we didn't do the 11 o'clock one.
But you've written down 3 there.
Yeah, 9:30, 10, 10.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's actually another half hour has passed. Okay. All right.
True.
Well, we'll give away 2. Just because we're nice like that. Now, of course, I need to find the product itself over here.
While you do that, Marigold TV Super Chat says, thank you very much. I have been playing the series since its initial release way back when. Just want to thank you, American. You are the reason I am in game development.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that, Marigold TV. Thank you very much for the Super Chat. Your support is much appreciated. We love you very much, all of you, for the dollars that go towards art and Lulu treats and margaritas and all kinds of stuff. So thank you very much. So we are going to be giving away 2 of Greg's junk. You will want to fill up the chat with your spam so that Nightbot sees you. And in the chat, you could...
What should they say?
You could say... I think we've done that before. What sort of things should we go and have for lunch today?
Yeah, what's today's lunch?
What is for lunch today? Because we do need to go out. We've got all kinds of stuff outside. There's pizza. There's Mexican food. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a Burger King opened up near here very soon.
Is it on the Japanese shopping street?
It is on the walking street, yes. But maybe we'll take Greg's junk to lunch with us today.
Here it goes.
Junk likes to go outside.
There's the chat.
Spam, 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 says someone. I like spam. Do you like spam?
Not one of my favorite meats.
I find spam to be absolutely fantastic, especially you're out on the boat and you don't want to have to deal with like carrying around fresh meat. And I don't know that spam is technically fresh, but it's canned, and so it doesn't go bad. And you fry it up in a pan for breakfast, and I swear to God, it's got a kind of foie gras
Right.
truffle type of flavor to it that I just don't get why people don't love it. And I've had friends of mine who are like, oh, I would never eat that. And then I'll fry it and I'll give it to them for breakfast and they go, oh my God, you're right. This is fantastic.
Well, maybe I need to have some fried spam.
You might really like it. You never know. All right. So we are going to roll for Greg's junk. There is this model, beautiful handmade. You're going to have to make it. You manhandle or woman handle or just handle Greg's junk, and you can bring Greg's junk to life, and it can live in your home. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. All right, let's go to Nightbot and...
Oh my God! Who would have thought?
Greg, you've won your own junk. Amazing. That's fantastic. Nightbot clearly has a sense of humor.
I was wondering if that was going to happen.
Nightbot very much has a sense of humor. All right. Well, congratulations, Greg. You know how it goes. You need to send in your address and your phone number, and you should say that you're going to... Now, does Greg really get to touch his own junk? That seems wrong.
I'm sure he's been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I know. All right. We're going to just quickly do one more roll here. So 3, 2, 1... Ina, there you go. Well, it's like all one big happy family playing with Greg's junk. It's incredible. I don't even know how life became this thing where we sit on camera. Yeah. It's very bizarre. Life,
super chat past.
If someone ever said like a year ago that a year from now you'll be sitting around doing a YouTube live stream with thousands of people watching and giving away Greg's junk, I would have said you're so full of it.
Yeah. Jesse Motor super chatted us while all that was happening. More merch, please. Figmas, dolls, figurines. Any of this incoming?
All right. Well, we are again working towards the license in order to do more Alice type stuff, but in the meantime, if you want, you can go over to Mysterious, and there are a ton of products over there, art books and art prints, and there's Alice inspired wallets and clothing and all kinds of stuff. So just go to Mysterious.
In terms of figurines, people have mentioned Funko Pops a couple of times, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean they
seem popular.
That's in the presentation that we put in front of EA. So I mean, for sure, we do want to get that kind of thing made. But there is a limit to the direct use of some of the merchandise license stuff that we can do right now versus what we'd be able to do in, proper possession of the license. So right now we can do a couple things that are sort of inspired by, but in hopefully, some months we'll be in a place where we can do more.
Fingers crossed.
There you go.
Touch wood.
Well, that does bring us to the end of today's live stream.
It does.
And we will be back next week with more artwork, more story, more junk.
Maybe.
There are some meetings and some phone calls going on over the next 7 days related to developing the game, funding the game, and also the licensing of the game, the IP in general. So we should have some pretty good updates for you when we get back.
Wow.
Amazing.
Look forwards to that.
Yes. So thank all of you very much for joining us yet again for American and Martin's crazy live stream world of craziness.
And we're going to try something new at the end of this stream. Are we not?
Right. We're going to switch
something
to this.
That YouTubers are doing. They don't usually do it on live streams, but they have like an end card where you can click on subscribe and all the nonsense. For you watching it now live, you're not going to see anything. We're going to add the buttons afterwards. So don't get confused that you see a blank card coming up when we go.
So, they'll be all right.
Yeah. But before we do go, Taylor Goen, super chats. Good night, guys. Don't forget to rub that junk for me.
We will. Play with, as soon as the cameras are off, we're gonna
give it a thorough rubbing.
Playing with Greg's junk. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you again in about 7 days. Have a good one.
See you later.
Bye-bye.